All right, thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to the regular board meeting of the East Bay Regional Park District Board of Directors. Today is Tuesday, August 10th, 2021, and it is 2:06. Madam Clerk, can you please do a roll call?
Yes, President Rosario. Director Coffin?
Here.
Director Lane?
Here.
Director Waspy? Director Waspy, I know I saw you. Director Eccles?
Here.
Director Wieskamp?
Here.
Director Corbett?
Here.
And President Rosario.
Here.
Just let me make one announcement. If you are not speaking, please put yourself on mute and stop your video. Thank you. All right, President Rosario.
Great. Did you want to announce staff that was present?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. General Manager Landreth, Deputy General Manager Alvarez, District Counsel Victor, CFO AGM Ocker, Chief Chiobaro, AGM Kelchner, AGM Johnson and or Juliana Shermer, I can't see, and AGM O'Connor and Eric Fueler.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm going to ask Director Corbett if she would like to lead the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you very much, President Rosario. Are we ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Someday. And I would like to follow up with an acknowledgement of our Native peoples. I'm going to quote from yesterday was the Indigenous Peoples Day, and I just wanted to read what our staff had written on our website. I thought it was very well done. Today on World Indigenous Peoples Day, we want to honor truth in history and awareness of contemporary issues facing the Native communities throughout the East Bay and the world. Indigenous peoples are closely connected to the land through distinct traditions, unique languages, and sophisticated knowledge systems. In the Bay Area, many individuals from the Ohlone, Bay Miwok, Delta Yokut, as well as many more groups continue to live on this land, practicing their culture and traditions to this day. The East Bay Regional Park District strives to promote accurate and holistic depictions of Indigenous peoples in our public and school programs. These programs are not a substitute for Native voices, and we ask others to join us in learning about California Native peoples from California Native peoples. We extend our immense gratitude to the many Native folks who have contributed and continue to contribute their perspectives, voices, and culture to our programs. Let's celebrate the Indigenous people who still reside on this land and have been here since time immemorial. Thank you.
Thank you.
And so we are now going to public comments. I believe we have quite a few. And with that, I'm going to ask, because we have so many speakers, I'm going to ask the speakers to please limit your comments to 2 minutes.
President Rosario, could you just open with how we're going to be doing the meeting about today's regular meeting? Would you like me to read that?
Yes, please.
Yeah, today's regular meeting is held in accordance with Governor Newsom's executive order, allowing for board members to participate remotely. We are also providing live audio and video streaming and have provided the public the opportunity to submit written comments.
Thank you very much.
And as President Rosario said, there are quite a few speakers here today. I am going to do my best to call on those that sent me an email in advance. If you have not sent an email, please do not worry, I will get to you. There's no need to raise your hands until I'm finished, and then I'll ask for that. I'm going to start with the very first speaker that we have, and his name is Joel Schrock. Mr. Schrock, if you could start your video and begin speaking. You have 2 minutes, sir. Thank you.
Hi there, thanks. I'll do my best here because I was planning for 3, but hello, ladies and gentlemen of the board. I hope you're having a great summer. It's me, Joel, here to continue our conversation about improved bike access. We've talked about how user conflicts will go down when bikes have trails for them to go down. We've talked about the rapid rise in demand for off-road bicycles in the last couple of years. And we talked about how dedicated bike trails will curtail the number of bootleg trails that are plaguing our parks. One thing you may not have considered is if the thousands of cyclists in our community have to drive 40 to 90 minutes each way to get to a welcoming trail system, that equates to hundreds of thousands of needless miles traveled per year just to reach places to legally ride their bikes on a trail. People in our communities need outdoor fitness opportunities that are appealing. Excuse me. And close to their homes in order to begin and maintain a healthy lifestyle for cycling. And cycling is a fantastic way to make exercise fun so that it gets done. These are the reasons I keep showing up. It sounds like many members know that something needs to be done, and some ideas have been floated around about alternating days on some trails, converting some bootleg trails, and possibly building some dedicated bike trails. What is holding back these programs? What will it take to get things going? Where are we at in this process? Director Weiskamp stated in a meeting about 5 years ago, when people were into horses, we built more stables. When they were into archery, we built some ranges. We've literally done nothing for the cyclists. Well, aside from some bike trails at Crockett Hills, which are away from our larger population centers, this largely remains true to this day. How can the public help move this process? At this point in time, it's puzzling as to why our nation's largest regional park system has been unable to meet this growing need. Are some members of the board nearing the end of their service and uninterested in tackling the real change that is needed to meet the needs of the changing demographics of the communities the park serves? Cyclists in our community have been pleading for broader trail access for over a decade, and now we have a cycling boom that like we've never seen before, resulting in one US cycling company to have over 1 million bikes on back order right now. There's so much demand that the manufacturers can't produce parts fast enough. And now there are 2 bills being passed around Congress to offer rebates on e-bikes to get more people active in the outdoors. The bike boom we're experiencing now is really just getting started. The chorus of pleas for better access will only continue to grow larger and louder as these programs come online. Will the parks be ready to serve?
You just
Mr.
put
Schrock.
yourself on mute.
Mr. Schrock, you just put yourself on mute.
Pardon me, thank you.
Okay, your time is up, but go ahead on and finish, sir.
Okay, thank you. And now there are 2 bills being passed around Congress to offer rebates on e-bikes to get more people active in the outdoors. The bike boom we're experiencing now is really just getting started. The chorus of pleas for better access will only continue to grow larger and louder as these programs come online. Will the parks be ready to serve the rising influx of cyclists, or will we stay the course of inaction and just allow things to get worse? More user conflicts, more bootleg trails, and more complaints about inequitable access. When will we finally start to tackle this issue in earnest and create timelines for action? How do we get this started? These are the questions I'm asking all of you today. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Nicholas Trepchevik. I didn't see you here, sir, so I'm going to give you a few seconds. Please stop your video if you are not speaking. Mr. Trepchevik. Okay, I'll come back to you, sir. I'm going to move to Jane Corrant. Okay. Anya Bray. I did see you, I believe. Anya Bray, Anjabrey. Okay.
Yes, I'm here.
All right. You have 2 minutes, ma'am.
Okay, sounds good. Dear East Bay Regional Park board members, my name is Anya Bry, and I have been working for the Park District for 4 years in the stewardship department. I love my job, and I appreciate all the great, passionate people I work with. During my time at the district, my small team of 3 faced a staff shortage 2 times, and while it took a long time to fill the vacancy, I fulfilled most of the duties of the vacant position for many months, which was very stressful. Being short-staffed is common around the district, which is in itself inequitable, and it affects the morale of those who have to take on additional responsibilities. As I'm considered an essential worker responsible for the water quality in the parks to keep our visitors safe, my job duties never changed during the COVID outbreak. While many of the Park District's employees were able to work from home, I was out in the field and in the office during these uncertain and somewhat scary times. Often, when the public is asking me questions about water quality and I answer their questions, they thank me for all I do for the Park District. The Ralph Anderson study shared that most AFSCME workers are paid below median compared to other Bay Area agencies. Our union is asking to bring all AFSCME workers to median and to pay us fair wages. I strongly support the union's requests. Getting paid fair wages would make me feel like I am a valued and respected employee. We AFSCME workers deserve to be paid median and to have real raises for our commitment and dedication to the district. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Anya. Our next speaker is Hal Mclean. You have 2 minutes, sir.
Thank you. Good day, honorable board members. My name is Hal Mclean. I've worked for the stewardship department of the district for over 20 years, and I work in water management, where health and safety for our staff and park patrons are our goals. Over the years and throughout the pandemic, we work on the field as essential workers. During the pandemic, our department was short-staffed, yet we took more responsibilities and worked extra hours, like many of our fellow union employees. Throughout the pandemic, the district praised our work and continued to be touted as the best special district in the nation. If the district states that we're the best special district in the nation, then I think it's time for the district results and compensate the workers for the inequities unveiled in the class comp study. Please don't let management insult your essential workers with ill-prepared offers and by dragging these contract negotiations on. The union is asking to be brought up to median wages. Median wages are a minimum of what you'd expect from the best special district in the nation. The district's finances are available and show that median wages are easily attainable. It's time to respect your essential workforce and support a fair contract. This is a popular stance amongst the union workers, and we're willing to fight for just compensation. I urge you to support your union workers, encourage management to follow through with the class comp recommendations, and help resolve a fair contract. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Hal. Our next speaker is Amanda Sanders. Amanda, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Yolanda, should I also read Catherine Reynolds when I'm done with mine?
Oh, I
This
thought
time?
you were just reading hers. So,
I'm reading both mine and hers.
okay, read yours first, and then I'll come back around so you can read Catherine's.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, President Rosario and members of the board. My name is Amanda Sanders, and I am a senior administrative specialist. I've been with the Park District for 15 years, and I've had the pleasure of working with many of you. I am proud of my work here and of what the district offers to the communities in Alameda and Contra Costa County. Unfortunately, I feel like the district doesn't prioritize the financial well-being of its non-management staff. This is evident by the refusal to bring staff up to median wage. This puts a damper on feeling appreciated and respected by the board and head management. It also reduces employee morale and the desire to go above and beyond at work. I observed the contract negotiation meeting last Wednesday. I was personally struck by the district's legal representation stating that the compensation studies aren't accurate and don't represent the real working conditions. This is ridiculous, as the district was fully involved with not only choosing the company that conducted the class and compensation study, but also in choosing the other relevant agencies that wages were compared to. The board and management has said multiple times that the district has an excellent workforce of essential employees. Sabrina Landreth said in her first email newsletter on March 26 to district staff that she wants to ensure you, the EBRPD staff, are well supported. People are the most important of any organization, and that this is a top priority of hers. It's time to actually show staff that we are valued and an important resource. There are currently around 50 open positions throughout the district. During the contract negotiation meeting, it was said that there is no problem with hiring and maintaining staff with current wages. If that was the case, there wouldn't be such a huge chunk of our workforce that isn't currently filled and working. My request that I share with many of my coworkers is that all staff be brought up to median wage along with a healthy cost of living increase. This would go a long way towards retaining the knowledgeable and hardworking staff of the district. Thank you for listening.
Here, you might as well read Catherine's.
Okay, let me take a breath.
Okay, because she did
Oops.
send me an email that you were going to read it, so I appreciate it since she's on vacation.
Good afternoon, President Rosario and members of the board. I am away on pre-scheduled time off and unable to join in person today, but my name is Catherine Bernal, and I have worked for the Parks District as an administrative analyst too for 5 years. This is a plea to the board that asks me represented employees be brought to median wage, implementing the district's own compensation study. This matter is important to the hundreds of represented employees like me who are finding it more and more difficult to sustain their lives here in the Bay Area, which is now one of the most expensive places to live in the country. I have lived in the Bay my entire life, but fear if wages do not keep up with the cost of living, relocation may be the only viable option. I am certain I am not the only one who feels this way. It is not right that nearly all represented staff are paid below median wage, and many well below median wage, while management salaries sit at 5% above median. I urge you to invest in district staff who are essential to keeping our parks in operation for the benefit and health of our communities. Please keep the board's performance goal commitment of attracting and retaining a workforce of excellence by fairly compensating non-managerial employees. This investment in wages will in turn make the Park District a desirable workplace for the best and brightest moving forward, ensuring the health of the district long term. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Amanda. Our next speaker will be Marcel Castano.
Costantua, you did very well.
Yeah, I'm working on it. Thank
All
you,
right.
sir. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Best I could do is 2 minutes and 10 seconds. But
Okay.
for those of you who don't know me, my name is Marcel Castano. I am a carpenter at the district since 2002. These are my own personal words. I have met and collaborated with many of you over the years. I have worked side by side with both Dee and Dennis during their careers here. I've had the privilege of designing, building, figuring out how to meet many challenging ADA compliance issues and keep the flavor of the park and its surroundings intact. I have put my heart and soul into this work, and I am proud of the work that I've done. My career here is coming to an end, but I'm here today to speak publicly and passionately, even though I find it very uncomfortable. As you well know, the last 17 months have been incredibly tough for all of us for a plethora of reasons, many shared and many different reasons. The climate and the culture has brought out many things I have been naive or perhaps ignorant about. I believe enormous opportunities for humanity are being missed in so many places while some are being met in a small few. For me, I try to make a difference in my circle. In the bigger circle, I feel like there have been a lot of missed opportunities. The divide or disconnection in our world, country, and park district is painful for me, and I assume many of us. To deny its existence cuts even deeper. You, Dee, Dennis, and the rest of the board have an opportunity to do what's right, what's humane, and what is fair. Help to end the rift and disconnection between staff and management. Bring meaning to your words of essential workers and how much that you value us. Make us and the public believe that those words are the truth and not a meaningless statement. Let that be the legacy that you hang your hat on, and we all win together. We always do our job. Please do yours. Do what's right. Send your team into tomorrow's negotiation session and agree to our proposal as it is. It's fair, it's right, and it's long overdue. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Melissa Foltz. Melissa? You have 2 minutes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Melissa Folks, and I'm a naturalist at the Big Break Visitor Center in Oakley, right along the Delta. Prior to working at the district, I've worked as an environmental educator, outdoor program director, and taught for 5 years as a special education teacher in counseling enriched programs. I love my profession, and I feel a great sense of privilege to be able to connect youth, especially teens, to the outdoors beyond the places they call home, to those who feel they perhaps do not belong in outdoor spaces, and especially with those who look like me. I'm able to encourage youth and adults alike to be stewards of the land and to make conscious choices that will benefit future generations who will call the East Bay their home and enjoy accessible green spaces. As an educator who frequently utilized the parks with students before becoming a naturalist, I know how critical these spaces are for our youth, their families, and the general public to decompress and relieve stress. As a naturalist in the midst of a continued pandemic that is now past 1.5 years, I know we have all seen how important accessibility parks is. From providing next generation science standard aligned curriculum to exhausted, overburdened teachers who need lesson plans they can readily utilize for free as they learn how to do a completely different job, which we interpretive staff also learned how to pivot to, along with the online field trips and videos, ensuring visitor centers are safe and feel welcoming, implementing continued DI initiatives, and providing a reprieve from a frankly pretty scary unknown future with the coronavirus, all while offering wellness opportunities are just a few of the crucial services we provide. I am proud of all of my colleagues who work in various sectors and departments of the parks, who I'm also have the benefit of being able to work alongside, and that is why I agreed to be on the negotiations team this year. As we reach past the 7-month mark in negotiations, I'm frustrated. The union team has consistently moved to meet in the middle without simpler compromise from the district. We are asking for a fair contract that addresses rising inflation that is competitive with comparative agencies. We have provided sound data and the correct numerics to reflect this. I'm a Bay Area native and the cost of living here continues to skyrocket. I'm getting married next year and I would like to raise a family here. I live in Oakland. However, my current salary, which is negative 9% away from median, as outlined in the Ralph Anderson study, and the salary of my school-based social worker partner combined will not afford that. I want to say personally, the district negotiator frequently does not come from a place of respect when meeting in bargaining sessions, and oftentimes has a brusque and abrasive tone. I want to remind the board that AFSCME Local 2428 is the East Bay Regional Park District. We represent many parks employees who provide the exemplary services that you, the board, is proud to share, and we should be proud. We together accomplished many amazing feats. I believe the services we have been able to provide throughout the pandemic speak to this. Please meet with the negotiations team. Sorry, y'all. Thank you for those who have. We'd like to wrap up negotiations respectfully and with a fair, equitable contract. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Melissa. Our next speaker is Alex Weber. I know you spoke earlier today. I don't know if you're coming back to speak again. Okay. Excuse me, Amy Colter.
Good afternoon, honorable board members and General Landreth and others. My name is Amy Colter. I've worked at the district since 2001, over 20 years, primarily as an administrative specialist in park operations, and I'm a member of AFSCME 2428. I'm currently acting in Precious Shelton's former position in maintenance and skilled trades as the senior administrative specialist, SAS, for our new Mass Chief, Robert Kennedy. I'm very inspired by Chief Kennedy's vision and leadership and greatly appreciate being able to support him during this transition, as well as to work directly with Precious Shelton and to support many of the dynamic staff that work in this agency. Last Thursday, I received the offer for the promotion into this position at Step D, about 5% above my administrative specialist Step F wage. But after 1 month of earning $20 a day acting pay, and after much thought and honest discussion, on Friday, I emailed HR that I'm declining at this time, and I feel this position is underclassified, end quote. To me, it's not worth the additional $399.75 per month above what I am earning to take on the complexity and workload of this desk. As you know, over 200,000 taxpayer dollars were spent by the district for the 2019 class and comp study of all 2428 classifications. While the SAS classification and all existing SAS positions were increased by 0.6%, the study showed that the majority of 2428 members still remain between 5 to 10% below median wage of the 16 comparable agencies in the Bay Area that were included. Apparently, the study was not designed to account for the volume of work, the complexity and variety of tasks this desk oversees, and the administrative support needs of the chief of mast or the department. I found that to be true of my regular administrative specialist position, and I believe it's true of many other positions that were not accounted for what they really do. I'm here to do my best to support the mission and the vision of this agency, but the recommendations you received from the class cop study are still going unheeded in August 2021 as we go on 7 months of labor negotiations, struggling to be brought up to median wages and to receive something close to the current CPI of 3.8%. In 2020, the district had a surplus of $20 million. The board allowed this $20 million surplus to be spent on one-time management projects, as opposed to prioritizing staff by investing in median wage increases for AFSCME. The district is also sitting on huge reserves totaling over $150 million, which is earning $6.5 million per year via Wall Street investment, which is enough to cover the entire cost of paying AFSCME members median wage increases. Again, I say there is more than enough to bring 2428 member classifications up to median wage per the study and give us something closer to CPI than the 2.5% currently being offered by management. And a 2-year contract is fair as things are changing quickly and we're already behind other agencies. We need a board who is as responsive to its rank and file staff as it is to management. And in closing, after observing negotiations and reading negotiation updates, it makes me feel unappreciated, and it makes your expressed words of appreciation seem very disingenuous. As I sit in Precious's old seat, my heart is heavy that her stellar service in that position did not get compensated at the level that she deserved or at the level she was contributing to the district's core mission to care for parks and care for people. Or should I say care for people and care for parks, because without us, there wouldn't be parks. Permaculture ethics has a saying, earth care, people care, fair share. If you truly do care about the future, which starts now, then now is the time for you to support an equitable contract, Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you, Amy. Our next speaker is Daria Schwarzschild. There you go, Daria. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Daria Schwarzschild, and I've been a Park District Union employee for over 10 years.
Daria, can I ask you, do you have your cell phone on? You've got, you're getting some
Let me
feedback.
check, hold a moment.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I think I got it.
There
Is
you
that
go.
better?
Okay, yes. Yes.
Is that better? Okay.
Yes, it is better. Mhm.
1 second.
Okay, start over.
I think all my volumes now went off. Okay. I think
Okay.
I can hear you now. Thanks for your patience. Okay.
You're welcome.
I've been a Park District Union employee for over 10 years. East Bay Parks union workers are underpaid, an average of 9% below median salaries as compared to similar workers at other Bay Area public agencies. Conversely, East Bay Parks management staff are overpaid, an average of 5% in the same comparisons. It is many years overdue for you, the board of directors and the general managers, to fairly compensate your union employees who are the essential workers that make East Bay Parks run. It is high time the district and the board of directors take the actions that match your words of appreciation. Your thank yous mean nothing to us without the actions that compensate us fairly. We are asking that you act now to bring internal alignment to East Bay Park employee salaries. The 2019 class comp study revealed the grave salary disparities that your actions have caused for your union workers to come to you today. The district has run budget surpluses for over 15 years, but you in the district have not prioritized investing in your own union employees. I hope you will find the integrity to take the necessary actions that will match your words to bring union worker salaries to current day living wage standards. Thank you very much for your consideration and your time.
Thank you, Daria. Our next speaker is Constance Taylor.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon, President Rosario, members of the board, and General Manager Landreth. My name is Constance Taylor, and I've worked as a naturalist with the East Bay Regional Park District for the past 4 years. I'm here today to ask the board to authorize the management bargaining team to negotiate median and real raises with AFSCME. As an agency who prides itself on being one of the best in the country, it is shocking to see that what we pay our employees is consistently in the bottom percentages of compensation when measured against similar organizations. The district can afford the AFSCME proposal for equity and fair wages. AFSCME's median equity proposal costs just over $6 million, while the district is able to put away $50 million per year in budget surplus from annual general fund tax revenues. As a public educator and public employee, I know how important it is that I provide the best possible service and representation for the district. I care deeply about the mission of our organization, and I and all union staff are willing to go the extra mile to ensure that the public, park visitors, and community partners look favorably upon the district through their interactions with all staff and the programs and services we provide. How unfortunate, demoralizing, and injurious it is to feel then, especially coming out of the year we've had of providing exceptional service against overwhelming barriers, that our care and concern for the district is not being returned to us in kind, but only with empty words of praise that do not help care for our families or help us afford to keep up with the ever-rising costs of living in the Bay Area. I urge you to consider the human and individual costs of denying fair wages to employees. It is not worth disenfranchising the people you have called essential heroes during the pandemic. We have shown our commitment to you, and now it is your turn to show your commitment to us by prioritizing investments in AFSCME members' compensation. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Constance. I'm going to go back to Nicholas Tripchevic.
Yeah, that's my dad. He didn't realize. Yeah, he can't speak.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you. Then I'll move on to Josh Socino.
Yes.
You have 2 minutes, sir.
All right. Thank you. Hello, my name is Josh Socino. I'm a fire lieutenant for East Bay Regional Park District. Today, my intention is to speak on behalf of getting rid of Article 31 or 38.1 subsection C, callback time. In the firefighter and on-call firefighter out of county assignment section, callback time is described as follows. Those hours when an employee does not have an assignment at an out of county incident, while on callback time will be compensated at 3/4 of the employee's normal rate of pay. 3/4. That's 3/4 pay while we're away from our families, 3/4 pay while we're sleeping at base camp with smoke exposure often above 500 AQI. That's 3/4 pay while our bodies struggle to compensate for being awake for 30+ hours on the fire line. There are many reasons I could discuss to you about why this article must be taken out, but I'm going to ask you to remember 3. Number 1, R&R equals safety. Rest and recovery after fighting fire will help prevent injury. Operating a fire engine, chainsaw, hose line, or drip torch all comes with risk. Yes, firefighting is dangerous. Proper rest and recovery reduce that likelihood for risk. As a district, do we want to send out the message that we compensate our workers at a reduced rate while considering their safety? No. Safety should be 100% of the time, not 3/4. R&R equals safety. Number 2, invest in your firefighters. The district will not be losing money by compensating their firefighters. Office of Emergency Services, OES, reimburse the district for the firefighter's salary. The industry standard is to pay your out-of-county employees straight time when they're on straight time and overtime when they're on overtime. Invest in your firefighters 100%, not 3/4. Number 3, those hours when an employee does not have an assignment is a misleading statement. Although rest and recovery days are sometimes seen as days off, that is not the case. Typically, you're done with rehabbing the engine, cleaning up, eating, gathering supply, and traveling to where you're going to be for the night in the early evening. Oftentimes after that, you will use that time to catch up on paperwork, emails, and trying to call your family if you have self-service. Many firefighters often check the daily news on what the fire is doing and listen to the nightly briefing. All of this is done while we're exhausted and we'll be waking up in a few hours. Finally, when you're about to get some rest, all you start thinking about is that you are sleeping on the ground in smoke, next to 16 strangers making 3/4 of your normal wage. That is just one example of those hours when an employee does not have an assignment. In conclusion, Article 38.1C must be taken out of the MOU. R&R equals safety. Invest in your firefighters. And those hours when an employee does not have an assignment is a misleading statement. I appreciate your time. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Josh. Our next speaker is Megan Secombe.
Hello.
Hi.
It says I can't start my video. Sorry. As you cannot start it. Oh, there we go. Thank you.
You have 2 minutes, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon, members of the board and management. My name is Megan Seckham, and I have been working for the Park District since 2017 as an outdoor recreation coordinator. And I am passionate about this job and serving communities in Alameda and Contra Costa counties with programming in their parks and open spaces. ASME members are paid an average 9% below median compared to other Bay Area agencies, while management is paid 5% above median. We think it is time that the board of directors fairly compensate the essential workers that make East Bay Parks run and bring us to median. The district has run budget surpluses for over a decade, but has not prioritized investing in ASME employees. It is time for the district and its board of directors to take actions that match their words. Show that we are essential and that our work is valued by bringing us to median. Park District employees provided essential services during this pandemic when it was unknown if they were even safe to do so, to enable users to access their open spaces, which was so critical during this time and still is. Park District employees will continue to serve the public and should be compensated to at least the median wages for the sacrifices they endured during the pandemic, caring for the public's open spaces and maintaining them, and for the work they will continue to do in protecting these open spaces and serving Alameda and Contra Costa County residents. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Megan. Our next speaker is Dale Huber. Dale. Okay, I will move on and come back. Celene Sanchez. Okay. Oh, there, I see you here. Selena, are you, or Selene? Maybe I'm mispronouncing your name. Say that again, ma'am.
Celene.
Celene. Okay, Sanchez. You have 2 minutes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Hi, my name is Celene Sanchez, and I've worked as a permanent employee with the district for nearly 6 years and as a seasonal and intern for 5 years before that. I would like to comment on the board's stance on bringing all AFSCME employee wages to median and paying us livable wages by Bay Area standards. As a lifelong East Bay resident, I've always felt the best way to contribute to my community is through my work in the East Bay parks. That is why I can truly say I love my job as a park ranger. As my husband, who is also an AFSCME member and district employee, and I plan our future, we do not see ourselves being able to remain in the East Bay without our wages increasing to keep up with the high cost of living in this area. We do not have family financial support, and so we depend on our wages to plan for our future and that of our family. A future that at this time holds long commutes and very little time to actually have a family if we don't see our wages increase. Home ownership in the East Bay seems more and more like something that could only happen if we win the lottery someday. While managers in the district are paid 5% above median, AFSCME employees are left behind at an average of 9% below median. This is completely unacceptable. It is also in opposition to the claims made that we are essential employees. If we were actually considered essential, the district and its board of directors would back that sentiment up with equitable wages that at the very least bring us up to median. Pride in our work would certainly increase if we could live in the communities that we work in. When the district sits on budget surpluses and prioritizes projects over people, it is a slap in the face to those of us who could not hide behind computer screens and Zoom calls and had to continue to serve our community in person through our day-to-day operations of East Bay parks that are essential to the health of our communities. I urge the board to back their claims that we are essential with equitable wages that give us a chance to remain in the communities we want to continue to serve with our work. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next speaker is going to be Dale Peterson. Okay, and then we're going to go to Alex Collins. Ms. Collins.
Thank you.
Yes.
It says I'm unable to start my video. Oh, there we go.
You will in a minute. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Good afternoon, board members, general manager Landreth, and others. My name is Alex Collins. I'm a naturalist with the district, and I've been here since 2019. I love my job, and I love the connections that I get to make with the general public, the parks, especially youth. Throughout the pandemic, my coworkers and I in the Interurban Rec department pivoted from doing in-person programs to creating meaningful connections with students and the public through virtual classes, and created a lot of wonderful videos for distribution to the public through our Visitor Center Facebook pages, EB Park's main Facebook page, and created bundles for teachers. These videos all provided a positive message on the pages rather than an endless scroll of rules, restrictions, and press releases. Writing video programs, shooting video, doing sound, editing videos, none of those are things that any of us were trained to do, but we all did them because it was important. Mine is not a unique story. Each department has stories of their staff being exceptional. Members of the board and the public have repeatedly recognized staff as essential heroes during this pandemic. While words of thanks are always appreciated, actions are appreciated more. AFSCME members deserve to be paid median and have real raises. Within 5% of median does not mean we should be aiming to get everyone 5% below median, especially as management is paid above. The cost of living in the Bay Area is increasing, and that does not appear to be stopping anytime soon. Please authorize the management bargaining team to negotiate median and real raises with AFSCME. The Park District has consistently had a budget surplus every year and can afford our union's proposal. Please prioritize investments in AFSCME members' compensation in order to keep the great staff that we have and have competitive recruitment for new staff. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alex. Our next speaker is Axel Rodriguez. Axel, are you here?
Yeah.
There you go. Okay. You have 2 minutes, sir.
Dear board members, my name is Axel Rodriguez, and I'm a senior on the Berkeley High Mountain Bike team. Today, I'm here to speak in support of expanding mountain bike trail access in our parks. Due to nature, school, and other academic commitments, there's limited time to ride or drive to other locations to ride. So, driving to other regions is simply not feasible. As a result, we must increase access to trails for cyclists. We should focus on either creating more single-track trails or expanding access of existing single-track trails to accommodate for the increased amount of cyclists. I believe that parks should be adapting to the increased demand for cycling trails instead of putting it off. Additionally, during my time on the middle school team, we volunteered many times at China Camp to maintain trails. I've been surprised to see that there's little to no trail maintenance opportunities for younger people in our parks. There's an incredibly large untapped potential of people who want to volunteer to help maintain trails, and I believe that this should be explored more in the future. It'd be amazing to get people of all ages to give back to their community trails. Again, please expand mountain biking access in our parks. It's desperately needed. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Axel. Our next speaker is Daniel Trebass, or Trebass.
Okay, am I on?
Yes, you are.
Okay, first off, I am not.
And you have 2 minutes.
All right, thank you. I'm not an employee of the Parks District. I'm a member of the public who's also a volunteer consultant with the Logic Alignment Center. In light of the comments that have already been presented, I'd ask the board to consider something on the agenda. It's item C1G that's under the consent calendar. Because I noticed there that there's requests for costs increase for management positions in excess of anywhere from $8,000 to $50,000. Yet the last item under that section removes flexibility from the union workers while not having any cost increase. So I can't help but wonder if it's a cost decrease, meaning they'll be paid less. I have to admit that there's this impression of genuine disparity between management and non-management workers at the Parks District, from the pay rates not being where they should. And even more important, I think more importantly, when the cost of living increase is lower than the actual increase to the costs, then these workers are actually having less spending power and their quality of life decreases, as well as their job satisfaction. Plus, it increases office tension and leads to more office politics. I would like to think that the board is not interested in furthering an image that seems to be prevalent these days, where we're moving towards a would-be ruling class and a would-be servant class. The way I look at it is whether it's the board members, management, non-management, office workers, field workers, union members, non-union members, everyone there are co-workers. So I'm not asking the board to consider a resolution on compensation equity. I've read some of the past resolutions, which sounded really nice, things regarding racial equality, and even the comment earlier regarding Indigenous peoples. But I have to admit that sometimes these resolutions or comments appear hollow and actually counterproductive when it's not matched with a plan of action with clearly defined steps that lead to tangible and observable results. Now, when it comes to the co-workers, everyone at the Parks District, I would ask the board to consider creating and implementing a one standard generic formula that incorporates all the variables for how all of the workers at the Park District would be recognized and validated for their labor with equitable and just economic compensation. I believe that such a generic one standard formula could reduce the tension in office politics and allow more time for addressing keeping the parks open in the most efficient and effective manner possible, which I believe is the goal of everyone at the Parks District. In closing, I just want to thank everyone who's spoken and everyone who works at the Park District for providing this essential service. The connection with nature and a place to get some fresh air, especially during these troubling times, is very important for everyone. And I just want to say thank you. And again, ask the board to consider the implementing of a one standard generic policy that incorporates all the potential variables. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to read the last four speakers that I have. If you don't hear your name, please raise your hand on the screen and I will get to you. It's going to be Philip Coffin, Jamie Perkins, Chris Newey, and Kelly Abreu. If I didn't call your name and you are still interested in speaking, please raise your hand. Philip Coffin, you're next. And you have 2 minutes, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon, board directors and managers. My name is Phil Coffin, and I want to urge you to authorize management to raise staff wages to median level. Over the last 13 years, I've worked my way up in this agency, like a lot of folks here. After 2 internships, I was hired full-time as a recreation coordinator, and now I work on the 4th floor with the land acquisition department. Like my colleagues who are speaking out today, I love my job, and I'm deeply committed to the agency's mission. But regarding the contract negotiations with Ask Me Local 2428, the 1972 Joni Mitchell song, Banquet, comes to mind. I keep thinking about this one lyric. Some get the gravy, and some get the gristle. Some get the marrow bone, and some get nothing, though there's plenty to spare. I think those lyrics sum up the disparities between management and staff pay scales. And I work closely with the managers. I work closely with chiefs and AGMs. I like them all a lot. I respect their experience and their leadership. They treat me with respect and trust. They value my work and support my professional growth. I am so happy here. But there's this one thing. Because when it comes time to sit down at the banquet table, like the Joni Mitchell song, and enjoy the meal that we've created together, Suddenly management says there's not enough to share. And so union members don't get the gravy. We get the gristle, or we get nothing, though there's plenty to spare. I remember with some resentment when managers received wage and step increases from this board in 2015 and again in 2017. So in 2019, when the Ralph Anderson class and comp study revealed that I was being paid at a rate 15% below other admin analysts in comparable agencies, it felt like a punch in the gut. So I want to close by saying that we deserve more than the scraps. We deserve the gravy too. I urge the board and managers to raise the wages for AFSCME 24-28 employees to the median level. The benefits in terms of employee morale, employee retention, and attracting new talent to the agency is worth the expense, and there's plenty to spare. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Phil. And thank you, all those that raise your hands. I have your names recorded. Jamie Perkins.
Okay. Good afternoon. I'd like to stay off camera if that's okay. My name is Jamie Perkins and I retired from the Park District in 2017 after 21 years of service. I'm requesting the Board of Directors provide union workers median wage increases to address their estimated $6.5 million shortfall in the latest district-wide class and comp study completed in 2018. In addition, cost of living adjustments need to be reinstituted and adequate annual wage increases provided. The history of the board to ensure industry median wages for union members is abysmal. While the board has authorized excessive increases in management salaries and benefits, putting them far above median, as shown in the class comp study, this disparity dates back 25 years when the board authorized managers receive 8 salary step increases of 5% increments between steps and 3 additional steps in 2015, which is unheard of in industry standards. Management salaries should be frozen until they are at their median wage. Prior to this study, the board had not authorized a district-wide class comp study since 1996. In 2013, after the delay was repeatedly brought to the board's attention by the union, board member Seiden directed former GM Doyle to initiate a study. But instead of completing one prior to the 2017 negotiations, as the board told the union was their normal practice, the union was forced to negotiate for a study for which the board only authorized $1 million in equity adjustments. When the study was done in 2019, the board would not authorize funds to meet the shortfall then, and now states there are no funds to meet this shortfall in 2021. That is unbelievable. I'm aware the district is sitting on a $150 million budget surplus funded by county taxpayers, of which I'm one. As the board gave management salary increases in 2017 when funds were not allocated in advance, general funds can be used to provide the union all of their requests. The general public needs to know if you favor management at the expense of union workers. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Our next speaker, and just to let you know, I do see Raphael, Elaine, Tiffany, Ross, Meadow, Augustine, and Taylor. I see your hands are raised, and I will call on you also. Chris Newey, followed by Kelly Abreu.
Thank you, Yolanda.
Yes.
President Rosario, Board of Directors, General Manager Landreth. My name is Chris Newey. I'm president of AFSCME Local 2428, as you all know. It's time for the East Bay Regional Park District to show it values and prioritizes its workforce. In the 2019 Ralph Anderson and Associates compensation study showed that most of AFSCME represented classifications were far behind median compared to similar classifications in the Bay Area. Here we are in 2021, not much has changed. Once again, we are falling further behind. Many of those same classifications that were behind in 2019 are further behind now than they were after the $1 million of equity adjustment was applied. The worst part of it is the district could afford to pay its workforce median wages this whole time. If you look at the general fund surplus over the last 10 years, in 2011, there was $8 million surplus. 2012, $11 million. 2013, $14 million. Or 2013, $14 million. 2014, $10.5 million. 2015, $12.5 million. 2016, $15 million. In 2017, $13 million surplus. In 2018, $17.5 million surplus. 2019, almost $20 million in surplus. And here we are, just closed out of 2020 with almost $22.5 million in surplus. Hopefully you see the trend that in the last couple of years, the district surplus has just been rising and rising. If you look at over that 10 years, that's $144 million in general fund surplus. Not to mention the $160 million in reserves that the district holds. Anyone who says that the district cannot pay its workforce medium wages is misleading you. The truth is the district would rather prioritize spending on equipment and special projects. There is only one way to truly value your workforce: pay median wages and offer competitive benefits. If you do not value your workforce will not value your mission. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Chris. Our next speaker is Kelly Abreu. Kelly,
Thank you.
Have 2 minutes.
Thank you. It seems like the public, as is well known, after hearing all of the workers speak today, speaking as a member of the public has a huge and unrequited love for the district and its employees. Why is it unrequited? Well, if you just remember back as far back as about a year ago, you would have heard a flood of speakers from these same employees expressing misgivings or some trepidation or some, let's say, feeling of a lack of distance, of excessive closeness to the public, and reluctance to really want to serve the public. They, in many respects, they view the public as a burden. They don't see the public as the problem, and it's not their raison d'etre. It's their an obstacle in getting through each day. So what does this mean? I think I don't blame the union or the employees at all. The management should have been listening. Management should work should help these people and improve their skills. You know, rotate people, put them out in public facing positions, and train people to elevate their skills to meet with the public. This is the kind of you know, you can see the problem better than me. You're working there every day. And I only visit parks occasionally. Also, for the bike people, I would point out that you know, one of the sarcastic comments out there was, you can bring shovels, you bike people, and you can help dig the trails. Of course, that particular trail they were referring to, it was supposed to be finished 2 years later, and it's now expected to take 4 years to complete that trail. And of course, no public shovels are going to be accepted on that trail. It's in Fremont, by the way. Finally, redistricting. There's Alameda County is going to sponsor a redistricting forum tomorrow. I urge every member of this board to watch that redistricting seminar sponsored by your county government. It should be very interesting, and a lot of the lessons and best practices will apply to your ward boundaries, which are gerrymandered. Thanks.
Thank you, Kelly. Our next speaker is going to be Elaine Deshays. Elaine, you have 2 minutes, ma'am.
Hi, thank you, Clerk Barial Turner. It's nice to see you. Hello, President Rosario and the publicly elected Board of Directors. I am Elaine Deshays, a citizen, voter, homeowner, and taxpayer in the district's Ward 1, a Park District employee for over 20 years, and member of ASME Union Local 2428. I've been happy to engage the public in the parks and support our mission, but I'm here to remind you there was an agreement from your management team approved by you to conduct a very long overdue classification and compensation study for the AFSCME labor positions. Your team and AFSCME negotiated and agreed upon the parameters of the study and its an administrator. Your management jumped on board and cleverly added themselves into the AFSCME position study. When the study results were published, your management moved up new pay scales quickly and smoothly. Management is paid 5% above the defined median wages, while AFSCME members are 9% below median on average, as per your data. The rank and file are still waiting. Your promise to us has not been fulfilled, even though the district continuously, yearly, for decades has millions and millions and millions of dollars in reserves and uncommitted annual budgets. Your professed commitment to us seems to have been nothing after all, and you are leaving the people who, in the meantime of this still unfulfilled agreement, have been unfailingly serving the public in times of great uncertainty and personal risk. You have left all of us with your vacant promise. Now AFSCME has to come back to you in contract negotiations to even ask for median wages. Really? We're not asking for the moon. We are reminding you of your promise and agreement to bring us to comparable Bay Area wages. In closing, the funds are indeed available to move forward and offer us a basic minimal respect with, at the very least, a baseline of median wages.
Thank you, Elaine. Our next speaker is going to be Rafael Dalava.
Mic check, can anyone hear me?
Yes, Rafael.
Cool. Hello again. My name is Rafael Ledesma Villalba. I'm one of the assistant athletic coaches at Del Valle East Beach. Originally, I was going to repeat what I said in the morning to make my message reach a wider audience, but I'm satisfied with the turnout, so I won't repeat what I've already said. However, I would like to hammer away the point that your employees of the Park District do not feel respected. To name a few names, I don't know Alex Weber nor Vernon Jones, Anya Bry, Hal Mclean, Amy Colter, Celene Sanchez, Celene Sanchez, some of which you just spoke in the morning or just spoke now, but apparently they share the same feeling as me. Take this to mean that this feeling of disrespect is common or even universal among your employees, and it's a problem that needs to be fixed. I'm prompting you to live up to the Park District's own core values, the first one of which is respect, which states, we honor the land we steward, each other, and the park visitors we serve. If your employees don't feel respected, then I ask you to think about how the Park District will achieve their goal of, quote unquote, supporting the development and retention of well-trained, dedicated, and productive employees. Bring us to median.
Thank you. Thank you, Rafael. Our next speaker is Meadow Darcy.
Hello.
Hi, you have 2 minutes, Meadow.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Meadow Darcy. I am an admin analyst too in the maintenance department of the Park District. I've worked here since 1996, just over 25 years. I love working for the Park District. It's a really great place to work. There's some really great people that I work with, and I'm very happy to call them my coworkers. It was interesting how the speaker before talked about coworkers and how important it is for us to see each other as equals and see each other on the same playing field. I think what people are expressing today is they don't feel that they're on the same playing field. They feel that they're less than. I wanted to tell you a little bit about our negotiation session just recently. We've been really struggling to get numbers from the district about how much each proposal costs. We've been getting erroneous numbers, requesting them again. And again, we're still struggling week after week to get correct numbers. But one of the things that we did talk about at the meeting was about budget surplus. And as Chris pointed out, every single year, there has been an enormous budget surplus every year. One of the reasons this happens is the district funds all of the salaries at 100%, assuming that 100% of our vacancies are filled at all times. One of the things that the lead negotiator mentioned was that ASME does not have a retention and recruitment problem, so they weren't interested in paying us median or giving us cost of living. I then pointed out this document that we received at Meet and Confer that has 44 vacancies on it. This is a huge number of vacancies. This list has grown from half a page to 3 pages over the last several years. There has been many delays in hiring, in making hiring decisions. What this does is it incentivizes management to keep positions vacant, whether intentional or unintentional. Those positions that are left vacant result in salary savings. And you see year after year, 8 million, 11 million, 14 million, 10.5 million, 12.5 million, 15 million, 13 million, 17 million, 20 million, and again, 20 million. So all of those budget surpluses are from funding these at 100%. That is an ongoing revenue source. The taxpayers paid money that year to pay for your staff and for service levels. And yet the district over budgets and then keeps that over budget ongoing funding source and then claims that the mid-year money is for one-time needs. It's taken from an ongoing source to pay for one-time needs. You're taking from the employees and not prioritizing our wages and getting us to fair wages. We actually asked that question if during the mid-year, if the district had prioritized our workers in thinking about how they could pay for median. The answer was no. That is really telling that the district does not prioritize their workers when thinking about what do we do with all this extra money. It doesn't even come up. There was nothing even budgeted this year to pay our workers increases, nothing. That tells me a lot about how the district feels about paying me a median wage when I am, again, like Philip mentioned, 15% behind. So it's really unfortunate that this is where we're at and that we're begging to be 5% behind management. We shouldn't have to beg. Please pay us fairly.
Thank you, Meadow. Our next speaker is Ross Mitchell. Ross?
Thank you. Can you all hear me?
Yes, you have 2 minutes, sir.
Thank you. Hello, Board of Directors. My name is Ross Mitchell. I've been at the Park District for about 7 years. I'm the Vice President of Local 2428, and I'm also a member of the negotiations team. I'm here because the district leadership has not prioritized its ASME employees, repeatedly not prioritized our ASME employees in ways both big and small. So for several years, we've had data from the district's own study showing that ASME is far behind other comparable Bay Area agencies. We have employees who are up to 13% behind median wage for their classification. And on average, our ASME employees are 9% behind median. Yet the district's not taken any steps to address this beyond what we negotiated in our last contract. Management's bargaining team has not put forward wage proposals to bring ASME to median. Instead, their proposals seem to keep aiming for within market, which means 5% below median to district management. And they offer us wage increases that don't keep up with other agencies. And it's proposals like these that have had our job classifications fall back to 13% behind when after the last equity adjustments, we've been able to claw our way up to only 10% behind. At the mid-year budget appropriations, management recommended spending a record $20 million surplus on a mix of one-time projects and stashing funds into various reserves. There's no mention of funding employees behind median, the supposed heroes of the pandemic. The board even praised management for their, and I quote here, superb budget management that produced the surplus, and again, quote, the luxury to have all this money to spend. What I see as an employee who's paid below median is consistent budget surpluses going back at least 14 years. This tells me that the surpluses are created by keeping ASME wages down. These surpluses are built on the backs of ASME members. When there are consistent multi-million-dollar surpluses, it's no longer a pleasant surprise, but a conscious decision by the district. And the district is declaring through that action unambiguously that ASME members are not their priority. Those are some of the big ways that ASME isn't prioritized. A small but very telling way that indicates where ASME is this priority was at last week's special board meeting, when 3 ASME members wanted to make public comment on a non-agenda item. This would have taken 9 minutes max. Instead, the board took 20 minutes to decide not to hear these comments. While that's the board's prerogative under Myers-Milius-Brown Act, it's incredibly disappointing. We want to be out in the field on Tuesdays or at our desk, providing the public with the service they expect from us. We don't want to be missing time from our jobs. To be told to come back on Tuesday was callous, short-sighted, and revealing. We wanted 9 minutes on last Monday, and now we want to be paid median. I don't think either of those things are too much to ask. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ross. Our next speaker is Tiffany Colby.
Hello.
Okay.
I have 2 minutes.
Yeah, you have 2 minutes. Yeah, thank you for lowering your hand. And before you speak, Tiffany, I just want to say, Taylor Rain, you had requested to speak on an item that is on the agenda. So we are going to get to that. So you don't have to speak right now. All right, Tiffany, 2 minutes.
Okay. Hello, Board of Directors and Management. Thank you for hearing me today. At this time, I'll speak with respect, but also with frustration and hurt. My name is Tiffany Colby. I've been a park ranger at Contra Loma Reservoir since 2015. In my time with the district, I've fought a fire, assisted in a bike accident that resulted in severe and permanent brain injury to its victim, been punched in the face by a member of the public, told I had to testify on the district's behalf against a known child abuser with no protection, and as we're all aware, been required to clean and service the restrooms and trash of a by and large unmasked, unvaccinated public through an unprecedented viral pandemic with park visitation hugely increased due to the district's self-promotion. And yet, with this foreseeable need and with this planned negotiation, no adequate money was set aside to compensate me and my familiars for our work at even a median level, and it's an offense. There's clearly no legal, financial, nor functional operational necessity for this park district to continue to disregard the lives, needs, and realities of the AFSCME members who work for them. Those workers who take the risks and wear all of the hats and make the entire park system actually work for the public. Considering that our agency is so large and extraordinarily well funded, that it has remarkable cash reserves and clearly established ways of savings, that it has been shown to have, make, and sets into motion millions of dollars for its own gains, there's just no acceptable reason for denying AFSCME members median wages in this contract. After so many years of wage neglect, and especially after this year of the district aggressively heaping praise upon itself in the public eye for the work that AFSCME members do, the unwillingness of the board and the district to share its ample monies with its workers can only be perceived and understood as intentional and selfish by both its workers and the public. This district is too big, too well-funded, and too obviously able to prepare themselves for financial realities, and so clearly able to pay its managers and confidentials more than fairly. There is just no excuse anymore. You can't continue to praise yourself in public and overpay the top few while simultaneously grossly ignoring the financial needs and realities of the majority of your workers. We work hard, we love our jobs, and we don't deserve the disrespect. AFSCME members aren't currently paid enough to live in the communities in which they live, and this is wrong. I feel like the district and board ought to be ashamed about that, and I think the public ought to know it. That's all.
Thank you, Tiffany. Our next speaker is Augustine Martinez.
All right, I'm on.
Yes,
thank
sir.
you. First of all, thank you for hearing me. I have to echo what Tiffany just said. I do not know Tiffany, but as a park ranger, and I've worn different hats throughout the district, but as a park ranger, there's often times where we are on the front lines, picking up uncapped syringes daily, cleaning up fecal matter, dealing with illegal camping on a daily basis. During one of these routine events, I was talking to an employee from the city of Richmond who said, well, at least you get a 30% increase per hour doing this. I said, no, I don't. Well, he said, well, in Richmond, we do. Now, if we're comparing to Richmond, with all due respect to the city of Richmond, our park district should be doing better than that. I've worked during the whole pandemic with very little PPE. I was very, very surprised that my crew, myself, my family did not get COVID, especially during the early times when it was very, very, very stressful for all of us. Most of the parks around here, they closed to the public. We opened to the public. Our bathrooms were opened. Our picnic sites were opened. We had more visitors than normal. And for those reasons, I do believe that we should be compensated for that. And I'm going to stick with the union on this one. And just consider that. I love my job. I wouldn't be working here for over 8 years if I didn't. And just thank you for hearing me out.
Thank you, Augustine. Our next speaker is Matthew Valdez. And we have 4 more speakers, President Rosario, after this.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you, members of the board and the general manager. My name is Danny Valdez. I've been a Park District employee for 23 years and I'm currently an ASME local member. Sorry.
Are you okay, Mr. Valdez? Danny?
Hang on a second, I've lost my.
Do you want me to come back to you?
Yes, please.
Okay, let's move on to Matt Carson. Put yourself on mute, Matthew, or Danny.
Okay. Hi, my name is Matt Carson. I'm a member of the public. I live near Contra Loma and Black Diamond Mines, and I visit them frequently. Throughout the pandemic, the parks were very important to me to be able to stay physically fit and be able to get out of the house throughout the pandemic. The workers in all of the parks that I've ever visited are the most professional and friendly staff that I've ever dealt with, whether it's the naturalists or people in the visitor center or workers who maintain the trails. They make the East Bay Regional Park District the best regional park district in the country. I urge you to give the East Bay park workers a raise to the median wage and give them a fair contract. It's incredibly expensive to live in the East Bay, and they deserve to be able to afford to live here. Thank you for your time and listening to my comments.
Thank you, Mr. Carson. Etta Grandal.
Hi, that's me.
Hi. You have 2 minutes, ma'am.
Thank you. I'm Etta Grandal, and I'm a rising freshman and mountain biker at El Cerrito High School. I've been one of 60 riders on the Wildcat Composite Middle School mountain biking team for the last 3 years. First off, I'd like to thank the EBRPD for remaining open during the pandemic. Riding my mountain bike on local trails in Tilden was a really great outlet during this stressful year. I love mountain biking because I enjoy the challenge, community, and how I can connect with and explore nature in a more meaningful way. I ride in the Tilden or Wildcat Canyon area around 4 times a week. These tend to be the only trails mountain bikers on the junior mountain biking team can access during the week, as we can't drive to other parks. Although I enjoy riding in Tilden, riding the same few trails that are legally open to mountain bikers becomes monotonous quickly. I respect hikers and always slow down to say hello when I encounter them on trails, and our coaches always encourage us to stay on legal trails and respect the trails we ride on. Especially in the pandemic, the Tilden and Wildcat Canyon trails have become very crowded with both hikers and mountain bikers such as myself and my teammates. As a result of this, the trails that hikers share with bikers have become very crowded, which has led to negative encounters between the two. Some hikers occasionally take out their frustration on other mountain bikers who have done nothing wrong. This is frustrating and hurtful to me and other responsible mountain bikers. I also enjoy single track riding, or just riding on narrow trails, but there is very little single track open to mountain bikers in the Tilden Wildcat Canyon area. I don't understand why most of the single track trails in Tilden are only open to hikers. I wish EBRPD would build more single track trails in Tilden listed in Crockett Hills that are centered more around biking than hiking. I love the trails in Crockett, but I'm unable to drive myself there and only get to ride there occasionally. Our team helps maintain the trails in China Camp and the Marin Headlands, and would love to work on trails in Tilden or Wildcat Canyon, where we spend the most time riding. Why are there no opportunities to do this? If there were a willingness from the park to set aside land for more mountain biking trails, I know many riders would jump at the chance to help build them. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Etta. Our next three speakers, I'm going to go back to Danny, then Marty, and then Cowboys Phone. Danny Valdez, are you ready now? Matthew Valdez. Okay. Looks like we dropped you. Okay, let's go to Marty Edmonds. Marty, you have 2 minutes, sir.
Hello, my name is Marty Edmonds. I am the unofficial ADA carpenter based out of South County Trades for the Park District. There's no doubt that I and my fellow co-workers go above and beyond that's required from their job descriptions. For me, it's easy serving the disabled community and reaping job satisfaction and basically helping to keep the district from bad publicity and ADA watchdog lawsuits. Some of you that are still here when I started 13 years ago know what I'm talking about. But I noticed on every project, the park staff's willingness to help the public in any way they can. This modest contract we are proposing is a bargain for the district, as the district gets way more out of us as compared to our pay. But I want to talk about the personal strain the district has bestowed on me based on the unwillingness to bargain in good faith and give us a fair contract with raises and bring us up to the medium. A month ago, I had a tragic death in my family. My son-in-law passed away in his sleep. 35 years old. He wasn't just a son-in-law. He was a son to me and a brother to my kids. His passing has left a huge void in our family, particularly my daughter. 5 kids left behind, 3 under 4 years old, 2 twin babies that just celebrated their first birthday without their father. Nonetheless, my daughter was a homemaker, and at this point, I am supporting her and her family. I was set to retire this year, but now it's put on hold because of the financial strains that is left when the breadwinner of my daughter's family has passed and now is on my lap. As you can imagine, the unconsolable, raw, and fragile state my daughter is in has left me taking over rent, utility bills, etc., to allow her to grieve and not worry about financial responsibilities. My daughter is a 3-time cancer survivor, as if she needed more heartache in one lifetime. This financial hardship is heavy, and to know that the district won't pay us what we deserve when needed the most is another example of management's lack of compassion and respect towards our workforce that value their job and continue to perform above and beyond. This is just one example of what our workforce experiences personally, yet still holds their heads up and come to work to make the district one of the best places to visit. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Edmonds, and we're sorry for your loss. Cowboys Phone is the last speaker.
It's telling me it's not allowing me to hook up to the camera.
Okay. But you can speak. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's your telephone.
Okay. Hi, board, management, staff, and especially the public. Want to thank you guys all for being here. And I am Sean Talbert. I am a senior equipment mechanic for 8 years at South County. I have 4 children. 3 of them were employed for the district. 2 still are. One of my children had to leave the district due to the fact of lack of wages if he wanted to live on his own. I'm a single income at my house to maintain the house here, because my children are just part-time. I'm blessed to be in a district residence, but as other agencies, these district residences are not permanent. So in 6 years, when my residency is up, I'll probably have to leave the district because I will not be able to afford to live here in the Bay Area, and I'm not willing to commute. In the mass department, I don't know how many of you noticed, but we have had a huge turnover. This turnover isn't from people not enjoying their jobs or loving what they do. This is because of wages. So that's pretty much where I'm at. We're grossly underpaid. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Talbert. And it looks like Matthew Valdez came back into the meeting. We're going to try you one more time, sir. And if we can't get you this time.
Okay, can you hear me
Oh,
now?
there
Sorry.
you go. Okay, all right, you have 2 minutes. You're the last speaker.
All right, my tablet just died. I had to plug it in. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Board of Directors and Sabrina Landreth for listening to me. I'm here to talk about the importance of getting median wages for all Park District employees. Since the completion of the district's funded compensation study, many ASME represented Park District employees have wondered when their salaries get to study established median. They have watched the districts prioritize buying extra equipment or where else to put extra money. They have watched year after year of budget surplus exceed the multi-millions and get into tens of millions. They have listened to members of the board discuss how great it is to have all this extra money at the end of the last budget cycle. When will the employees of the Park District be prioritized? When will the district offer median wages to all its employees? We need median wages. The district needs median wages. Direct your negotiation team to do the right thing. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Valdez. President Rosario, that is the last public commenter.
Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate all the comments and stories. All the board of directors we're listening, and we appreciate your taking the time to come before us. I was wondering if we could take a little break before we went into. Yes, I see a yes. Can we take a 10-minute break?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Sarah, if you could just stop the video and Matthew put up the screen.
Great, thank you.
Or the sign. Thank you. Everyone be back in
10 minutes.
10 minutes. 3:43. Ooh, it's quick. Comment about 45 minutes worth of comment. So please feel free to send us an email. Now we'll be starting the regular meeting.
You guys are all ready to go.
Thank you. Let's make sure everybody is here. Coffee, Corbett, Eccles, Waspy, Lane, Rosario. I think we're good.
Okay, I think I need to go back half a step. I missed. We need to. I need a motion to approve the agenda.
So move.
Is there a second? Director Corbett. Thank you. All those, Madam Clerk, can you please take a roll call vote?
Yes, Director Lane. She is, I'll come back to her. Director Wieskamp.
Aye.
Director Eccles.
Aye.
Director Coffey.
Present. Oh, aye.
Director Waspy.
Aye.
Director Corbett.
Aye.
Director Lane. You are on mute. And President Rosario.
Aye.
Okay. So it's unanimous if Director Lane raises her hands or says something. Director Lane, are you there? I don't know if you want to just move forward.
Yeah, let's go.
Oh, here she comes.
Yes, I'm here. I'm just down.
So we're doing the roll call vote on the agenda, so to approve it.
Oh, aye.
All right, it's unanimously approved.
Thank you.
He's here.
Thank you.
So now that brings us to item C, the consent calendar. Do we have any unanswered questions from the board? And I believe we have a public comment on one of our items as well.
Yes, we have a public comment from Taylor Rain on item C regarding being a pollinator.
Great. Any members have an outstanding question on the consent calendar?
I believe all the questions have been answered, but I don't know if we have any that have not been broached.
Yeah, I know all of my questions have been answered.
Okay.
Okay, let's go to a public comment on item C.
Okay, Taylor Rain.
Hi, everyone. My name is Taylor, and I'm a student at UC Berkeley with the Pollinator Conservation Group CalPERC students. Today, I prepared to give a public comment in support of our bee-friendly park system, but after hearing a number of speeches that were made earlier, I have to say I was well unprepared, and that it has taken a great deal of courage from all the speakers today, including me, to stand up for what they believe in or to advocate for their interests. And I can see that the world is complicated, and I hope that in my future, I'll be able to help assist in making the world a better place and to help our park system become that which it strives for in its principles. And I will hopefully do everything in my power to bolster and support the services that the East Bay Parks can provide with volunteer assistance from students and our community members to help make our parks more ecologically diverse and also to help restore native habitat. So I think today I've learned a lot, and I've seen that there are many differential experiences in our staff and our employees and things that I have not yet understood. And I'm very grateful for opportunity to participate in this endeavor. I hope that making our park system more bee friendly will help unite communities in that fashion. So thank you for your help, and I really do stress the importance of everything that has been said formerly, and I look forward to seeing how the future will unfold.
Thank you, Taylor.
Thank you very much, Taylor, and I appreciate all the work you've put in to bring us to this resolution here. Any other questions? Director Lane.
Oh, I just wanted to say I appreciated that as well. It was an interesting Natural and Cultural Resources Committee presentation. So thank you for that.
Yes.
I'm happy to make a motion on the consent calendar.
Okay. Yes, unless there's any other comments the board would like to make. Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Yes, President Rosario. Director Lane?
Aye.
Director Wieskamp?
Aye.
Director Eccles?
Aye.
Director Coffey?
Aye.
Director Waspy?
Aye.
Director Corbett?
Aye.
And President Rosario?
Aye.
Okay, we have a unanimous approval of the board.
Great, thank you very
calendar.
much. That brings us to items C2, Executive and Legislative Division. And so we are at
Deborah, are you? Oh, Deb Spalding maybe is doing this one.
Hi there, yes.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. I'm Deborah Spalding, Assistant Finance Officer. And this item before you is authorization of the tax rate to be levied by Alameda and Contra Costa County for the payment of the East Bay Regional Park District's Measure WW General Obligation Bonds. All right, I'm sharing my screen. Can you see that all right?
Yes.
Is that working? Okay. All right, so I'm going to start out giving you a little bit of background on how the tax levy shows up on the property tax bill, then a little bit about how this rate is calculated, and then lastly, a bit about Measure WW and what's next. So this is your typical Alameda County property tax bill. And you can see there are lots of different taxes, some of which are based on the value, the ad valorem tax, and some of which are just flat tax levy amounts. So drilling down a little deeper, the Park District gets revenue in 4 different ways from property taxes. And so here are 2 of the examples. The 2 County Trails LLD is on the right-hand side, that's $5.44 per year. And then you see on the left, we've got our Measure FF, which is called the CFD number AC3. So that's $12 a year. So those are pretty straightforward and easy to see. They have our name more or less. But we also have, we get a portion of the 1% countywide tax. So this is approximately 90% of our general fund revenue. And the amount that we receive from this 1% varies based on the tax rate area. So depending on where you live, that 1% gets split out in different ways to all sorts of different agencies. So on the right-hand side, I have a screenshot from Contra Costa County, where they actually show the breakdown in each tax rate area. And so this is just one example. And you can see there's East Bay Regional Park District. So you get a tiny fraction of the 1%, but it actually adds up to be a very steady revenue source for the district because it is spread out across the 2 counties. And then lastly, the darker red circle is our debt levy. And so that's actually what we're talking about today. All right, so how does the debt levy get calculated? We need to know how much money we owe for debt service in the coming year. And that is divided by the assessed value of all the property in the 2 counties. And so we actually know our debt service payment amounts for the debt that's already been issued. We have this structured well in advance. And as most of you know, we have made a promise to voters to stay within $10 per 100,000 of assessed value. So we really need to structure this very carefully. And we need to be aware of how much assessed values are increasing each year so that we can stay below that $10 per 100,000 of AV. So the variable really is the assessed value. And the reason we're coming to the board now is that we need to provide this to the county auditor controller office by August 31st. And we don't actually have the assessed value yet. So today the board's going to approve us to levy this assessment. And then we're going to come back to the finance committee later on in September and provide that information to the finance committee. So the way it flows through is we get preliminary information from the county in June. Today, the board's going to approve the levy assessment. We'll submit that to the county auditor controller office, and that'll go on the property bill in October. And then payments are due to the county November 1st and February 1st. And then the Park District receives that revenue December and April. And we then make our debt payments March 1st and September 1st. So how is AV doing? On the right-hand side, if you Google, assessed value or properties in the Bay Area, you get all sorts of varied headlines. But it does seem as though we can expect modest increases based on the preliminary numbers that we've seen. The impact of the coronavirus will be reflected in the numbers because these assessed valuations are based on property values as of January 1st, 2021. We continue to use Beacon Economics to help us project the changes to property values for the second half of the year and longer term. They give us a 5-year projection. And so that also will be coming to the finance committee in September. And then we also use our financial advisors to help us structure our debt service, and they'll be helping us with our next bond issuance later this year. On that topic, maybe you want to hear a little bit more about our next issuance of Measure WW bonds. So we are planning to issue bonds in late 2021 at this point. We have authority to issue up to $500 million in general obligation bonds from back in 2008. And to date, we've issued $240 million in 3 different tranches in 2009, 2013, and 2017. We still have about $20 million unspent. And so that is our plan, is to issue the next series in late 2021. So just to recap what this agenda item does, we are required to provide the counties with the ad valorem bond tax rate before August 31st. And this is going to determine the amounts paid by the taxpayers on their next property tax bills. So you're giving us authority to proceed with the rate calculation and to file it with the counties by the deadline. And then that's going to come to the Finance Committee with the actual tax levy on September 24th. That concludes the presentation, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. Questions from the board? Oh, I see Deborah's hand.
Thank you, Director Rosario. Deborah Auker, the AGM of Finance and Management Services. Thank you, Deborah, for that presentation. It really gives us the background of how all the administrative work happens. I just wanted to restate that these are for capital bonds that were approved by the voters in 2008 for the district's capital acquisition and development program. So none of these funds can be used for operations. They have a very detailed expenditure plan that the district has been working on and making great progress in the area of acquisition and development. That's all I wanted to.
Great, thank you. Director Corbett.
Thank you very much. I was actually going to ask you to explain that, and I think it's so important to continue to share with folks that there's certain revenue sources that we receive that can only be used for particular purposes. Obviously, the capital purposes are for projects and construction and such things. And we have other sources where we have funding that we can use for operations. And it always keeps us mindful that if we want to find more resources to help fund operations, that we may need to look into additional measures on the ballot so that we can grow those funds to do work on those sorts of things. So thank you for always clarifying that for us.
Great, thank you. Any other comments from the board? Director Lane.
Well, thank you for this, our annual presentation. And I think we're always slightly out of sync with actually knowing what the AV is. This bond issue is one that has been really important to us as we work to acquire lands for future parks. And we use it also to match grants that we receive. And so what has been happening now, almost 10 years after, well, over 10 years after it's been passed, is that we are beginning to run out of funds for purchasing or additioning or adding to parks, as staff tells us from time to time. So I think it's time for us to get a few more funds because we do have a few more properties that are in the works. And we won't do that with this, but we will go out for bonds as was described by Deborah. So thank you for your work on this, and I'm happy to make a motion.
Great.
So I have a second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Seeing none, can I get a, Madam Clerk, roll call, please?
Yes. Director Eccles?
Yes.
Director Coffey?
Aye.
Director Wasby?
Aye.
Director Corbett?
Aye.
Director Lane?
Aye.
Director Wieskamp?
Aye.
And President Rosario?
Aye.
Okay, we have unanimous.
Thank you. Now we're at item 3, the general manager's comments. And 3A, I believe we have Fire Chief Filey Tiley.
We do. There she is. She just popped on. So I will go ahead and hand it over to Chief Tiley.
Good afternoon, Board of Directors and Director Rosario. Today I'm going to present to you the challenges in 2021 that the fire department is facing, and I'm going to co-present with Acting Assistant Chief Kari Haley. So Kari, if you could please start our PowerPoint. Thank you. So this is actually a current scene of our guys working the Dixie fire up north on our OAS engine, and then I kind of embedded the eucalyptus trees there because this is my fear almost every day. Next screen. So just to recap the challenges that we had last year that I think the fire department, along with the district's overall wonderful support, we faced, which was fighting fires on district property, through COVID and beyond under the COVID protocols in an ever evolving world. Then August came and we had the 2020 siege where we had 12,000 lightning strikes in 72 hours. And it ended up involving in 3 different locations, 6,900 acres of the district's lands that were burned. Then in October, while doing our regular wildfire hazard reduction resource management work, it was fuel reduction coordinators and captains that noticed in the field, along with our IPM staff, that we had 1,000 acres of dead eucalyptus, acacia, and pine trees spread across the district lands and regionally. Next slide. But the challenges that we face in 2021 are combining in addition to all that. So there's 3 things that we've been spending all of our time focusing on. After the 2020 fire siege, it became very clear that we were severely lacking in our defensible space around our district facilities and residences, and that work had been deferred for quite some time. We have a culture here that we like our trees and our wildland areas, and we like the beautiful tree canopies that are overarching, but with climate change, it's become apparent that that's something we clearly need to do, just like every resident and every homeowner that lives in the areas that we provide service to. And the work has been deferred for quite some time for a number of reasons, mostly because we ask all of us, managers and rank and file alike, ask ourselves to do more with less. And so now that we spent last fire season really trying to run ahead of a fire, especially at Del Valle and some of the other areas, and provided a defensible space around our buildings while a fire was kind of marching towards those facilities. We have refocused on that, and we are working pretty much 5 days a week with the fuels crew and Fire Station 1 staff to get in there and create defensible space. This is typically something that our operations staff does, but because they need additional people and because we've got the workhorse internal to the fire department, we have made a great effort to that end. The second big issue that we are still dealing with, and we will probably be dealing with, it will far eclipse my career, is the tree mortality acreage has increased from 1,000 acres to 15 acres, or 1,500 acres, I'm sorry, on district lands alone. And we've had a dry 2021 winter, and this one coming, the 21-22 winter, is not shaping up to be much better. So the increase was expected. It's expected to grow even above that. And as we speak, we have dead and dying trees that are just starting to turn. So in other words, a couple of months ago, they looked relatively healthy, and now they're showing extreme stress. And we anticipate that there'll be increased die-off still. And then the last big take home is that the resources that we would normally be implementing, the wildfire hazard reduction and resource management plan with, are being redirected to address these new pressing challenges. So we had a plate of food and it was pretty full from edge to edge. And then we piled a little more on top of it with the tree mortality rate. So it's kind of peaked now, that plate of food. And now the defensible space issues, the fire department has got a heaping plate that things are starting to fall off of. So next slide, please. So how do we deal with these challenges? How do we meet these challenges? Well, I personally think we're doing a pretty good job. We triage. And for those who might forget what triage means, triage is a process to determine the most important issues from amongst the many things that require attention. And that's what we're doing in the fire department. So the fire department determined in that triage, as far as priority goes, that our district facilities and residences were paramount. And so to that end, we have been working 5 days a week to try to get in there and make sure those spaces are safe. The tree mortality, while it's a long-term issue, it's going to require immediate attention as fire season is here. People read media, they watch television, they see these fires happening, the Dixie Fire, the River Fire, and they're very much afraid. So we have started 2 projects that you'll hear about one in Miller Knox and one in Redwood, where we're dealing with that directly, and Kari will go into more detail in a few minutes. But meanwhile, time marches on for the FEMA grants. Those do have a deadline, and so we need to continue that implementation. And so we're throwing every tool we can in the fire department at this increased workload. Next slide. So to break it down a little bit further, I'll use the Brazil room as a good example. This is kind of the very, very back side of the Brazil room. We've got beautiful trees that help make that a beautiful wedding venue. But they are coming across the top and over the top of not just the residents, but the building. And so the crew has been working along with Dave Weaver, the supervisor in operations, to make that place a lot more defendable should a fire come through there. That's one example. Please show the next slide. And this is just an example of, years when we did have water, of growth with some of the trees and brushes and shrubs, and how they can come very, very close up to the buildings. And what we're trying to do now, because there is a lot of work that needs to be done. We're going in there with the crews, with contractors, and not just our fuels reduction crew, but also Civicor and California Conservation Corps, to push those vegetation fuels back and then hand it back to operations for them to be able to come in and clear it out on an annual basis. But it's such a big job now, we need to get it back into a kind of a more biteable amount of work that needs to be done. So we're coming in support of operations. We are actually working with the SCA crew and park supervisors and park rangers to help us get this work done. Next slide. And then the tree mortality issue. I'm going to have Acting Assistant Chief Kari Haley talk to you a little bit about the efforts that have been made there. So I'd like to introduce him now.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. I want to give you an update on the latest situation with the tree mortality, as I like to call it, incident. So just like any other emergency incident, prior to taking action, you either have to do a size up or some type of assessment before you create a plan or take action. So for us, the first priority was figuring out how large of an issue this was. So we had our helicopter fly over the district and was able to produce mapping. But then additionally, we worked with government affairs. They had several meetings with different delegations, and out of that work, they were able to put us in contact with some vital resources. These resources were foresters that came from throughout the state of California, experts in their field who did site tours of our infected tree mortality issue. But not only did they do site tours, they're actually able to give us information on best management practices and, for example, what to do with the biomass. Additionally, our own stewardship department helped facilitate meetings with Garbello Labs, the UC Berkeley, conducted tree sampling. Here's the good news. All that information, all is pointing to the same direction that came to fuels treatment. The good news is that we're not going to lose all of our forest. The treatment that needs to take place is thinning and spacing of our trees. By thinning and spacing of the trees, the areas that are over congested and are being affected by the drought will have the ability to thrive and come back. And also areas that are affected with different disease and pathogens will have a better opportunity to thrive by having more space amongst various trees. So that's the positive news that came out of all those actions through stewardship and the work through government affairs. Additionally, we're doing different site tours with different politicians and state representatives. We've had Alex Lee come out to Anthony Chabot. Literally just last Friday, we had a supervisor from Contra Costa County, John Joya, come out to Miller Knox, and he was able to look at that project firsthand, see the tree mortality, see one of the second tree mortality projects that we've completed, the first being Redwood, second, Miller Knox. He was very impressed. He had several questions, wanted to know how we were going to benefit and how this would benefit the community of Richmond. We were able to tell him that by thinning out these trees, getting rid of the dead standing trees, if fire or wind fire does occur, it'll make a fire that's more manageable. So that was an exciting opportunity for us to show some of the good work that we're doing in the community of Richmond. So part of the plan, you have to do an assessment, you have to come up with a plan, and then you need money to execute that plan. So we worked with our grants department, and we also worked with government affairs. These are some of the actions that have already been funded or will be funded and are no longer pending. So the government affairs was able to do work through the state budget process, secured us $13.5 million. $10 million of that will go directly to treating our infected tree mortality areas. Another $3.5 million will go to fire suppression equipment. Additionally, our grants department has helped us apply for several grants, but the good news is already our Coastal Conservancy grant has been awarded, and that's roughly around $290,000. Here are the list of the state grants that we currently have pending. $5 million CAL FIRE Forest Health. What's that going to do? That's going to go to treating tree mortality issues, similar to the $10 million that we were able to get through the state budget process. We also have another $3.4 million CAL FIRE prevention. That'll go towards our grazing program and making sure that we can not just graze, but graze areas that we historically were not grazing, give us the ability to leverage our grazing program. And another additional $750,000 fire prevention. That'll cover several areas, but one of the things it will do is district-wide vegetation mapping. They'll benefit the stewardship department, but also the fire department. And here we are with our federal grants that are pending. Another $3.2 million FEMA hazard mitigation grant. That is work that our grants department has helped us apply for, and other actions that our government affairs section has helped us with is an earmark request through Senator Padilla and Representative Barbara Lee, an additional $20 million on top of the $10 million that we're able to get through the state budget process. If you add all that up, it's roughly pending about $14.3 million in funds that will be looking to come our way. So first, we had to assess the problem, do a size up. Second, come up with a plan. Third, raise money and funds so we can execute the plan. I'm gonna now let Chief Tiley talk about some of the additional details that are going to be occurring with our plan.
Almost forgot to unmute myself. Thank you, Kari. Good job. So the wonderful news, in typical district style, the fire department has not faced these challenges alone. Thank you to the board of directors and senior staff for supporting us and trying to get this very important work done. We've had some other strategies that are helping us to tackle these challenges. Things like increasing our job ordering contract from 2 million to 4 million. That's going to allow us to have more contractors working at the same time. And the other thing that really does is it kind of locks them into some pricing that we have, because this issue is not just ours, it's a regional issue, and we expect that prices will go up. It's a law of supply and demand. So as the demand increases, probably the pricing will go up. Also, we're looking at enlarging some of the areas that were traditionally covered by goat grazing contracts. We're looking to increase those areas because they are the most effective, hardest working, cutest fuels reduction coordinators that we have. They do a great job, and they're very cost effective, I guess is the best way to put it. We also are considering adding goat contractors to the job order contract process. Every now and again, we'll get a supervisor from operations, an example, that calls and says, hey, I've lost water in this area, so my grazer isn't grazing it anymore, and it's too much for operations staff to deal with. It would be really helpful for the district if the fire department had goat contractors that were part of that job order contract process, so that we could just call them up and say, we need you here for this period of time. Additionally, I know that there is a sense that most fire stations are at the fire station waiting for a call. That is not this department. Fire Station 1, the fuels crew, the captains, the fuels reduction coordinator positions are all in the field doing fuels reduction work all the time. The only thing that changes when there is a fire or a medical is that the fire station 1 crew will then stop what they're doing, pivot, and go tend to the emergency. And we're adding to the workforce in the fire department with the additional fuels reduction coordinator position and fuels members. Thank you for approving the last fuels reduction coordinator position. The more money we get to tackle these issues, and as other issues come about or are realized, we need to have more people. And so we're doing the best that we can. Really want to give a shout out to government affairs who elevated this issue to a much higher level outside of the district and outside of the area. We could not have done what we've done without their help. And then to grants, being very focused on our need and reaching out and really applying for those grants so that we can get the work done. And that concludes our presentation. If anybody has any questions, we'll be here to answer.
Great. Thank you very much. Director Corbett.
Thank you. Sorry, I don't have any questions because you did a very thorough job of sharing with us not only what needs to be done, but what you are doing and, you know, some of the history of our work in this area. So we all appreciate how diligent you are and serious about ensuring that we deal with the challenges of maintaining our park district lands and keeping everybody safe. So thank you for that. And just wanted to thank you and the assistant chief for those presentations, and hope we can continue to support the advocacy that has gotten us to where it has today, and very happy to support you in this really, really important work. And the last thing I'll say is it's so nice to be associated with the Park District because of your work, we truly are leaders and historically have really understood what needs to be done in order to maintain our lands during climate change to address these issues. So thank you for all of your hard work and everybody else who works with you, who's clearing the land and fighting the fires and everything else. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you, Director Corbett.
Thank you.
Director Lane.
Yeah, I have a couple questions. One has to do with the 3.5 million that we received from the state. And I wonder if you have some more detail on how we are going to be able to spend that money. It won't help us get a larger helicopter, will it?
Actually, I know that Captain Love is here, and I know that Hal has a plan.
Okay.
Captain Love, are you there? Oh, if he does not come up. So there are packages associated with the helicopter. I learned way more in trying to secure this money than I've ever known before, which is the way it's supposed to work. That you purchase the helicopter, and then we have to put all the important stuff on that helicopter. So there's communications, there's special devices that sense heat. There's a whole bunch, there's a package. It's kind of like when you buy a car and you might need a package for 4-wheel drive or, positive steering. From what I understand, this money is going to, here he is. Al, you're a little bit late to save the day, but come on in and tell us about the 3.5 million for the helicopter, please.
You were actually doing a great job. I really have not much more to add. It covers the avionics and the lift capacity, increasing the lift capacity, which means more water gallons dropped on brushy fires.
Well, that was said a lot better than me. Does that answer your question, Director Lane?
So it does enable us to drop more water at a time, and the helicopter can handle that.
Based on the upgrades, yes, it will. It's not a significant increase, but it is an increase in gallons dropped. And I think Captain Bry can actually give you the actual numbers. I see that he popped on.
Hello, Director Lane, Lance Breed, Police Captain, Operations Division. Yes, there's going to be a fast fin modification done to Eagle 8. We did go over that at the end of last year when we did make the purchase for Eagle 8. And that does allow the helicopter to drop approximately 20 to 25 more gallons, which doesn't sound like much, but the fast fin modification does allow the helicopter to perform at a better optimum range instead of performing kind of at the red line. If you can think of a car and you're at a red line, it puts you way below the red line. So it's more effective and safer for everyone involved.
Okay, so where that amount of money is all going to the helicopter? Yeah. Okay.
Correct.
Then I have another question, but I don't know, Dennis, did you have something on the on this, on the money?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Director Lane. I would just want to follow up, Lance. So does that get us into that great position of being qualified as a contractor for CAL FIRE so they can use us and pay us for our helicopter?
No, not quite. It gets us closer to where we want to be, but no, to answer your question.
Whoa, so 3.5 million gets you 25 gallons extra and dropping capacity?
So just to clarify, at the end of last year, when we came to the board, we had authorization to spend about just over $6 million for the acquisition and purchase of Eagle 8, which included the airframe and the avionics suite. So part of that money was already set aside. During the same time period, we applied for this grant, and we're subsequently been awarded just over $3 million for the helicopter. So my understanding is that $3 million is going to offset what we already had set aside for the purchase of Eagle 8, and then that remaining money can be put aside for the purchase and acquisition of a new, more robust helicopter in the future.
Okay. Director Lane, back to you.
Yeah, you know, I heard you indicate, and we did see some photographs that appeared in the Wall Street Journal of our firefighters at the Dixie Fire. So did we send one team there? And then my other question is, has to do with East Bay fires in the last 6 weeks. How many have we been involved in about that period?
Yes, ma'am. So the first question is, 14 days ago from this past Sunday, we sent OES engine, OES 348 out. It was activated as part of a strike team. They went to the Dixie Fire and they fought fire for 14 days. What is typical of a strike team, and it is a decision that's made outside of the Park District. It's part of the fire community that when we have a strike team, since it's made up of different agencies and different apparatus, that 14 days was kind of the sweet spot for, we've had them out there long enough and now we really need to bring them back in. So those pictures came from Reuters and also from the Washington Post. Our guys were on the front lines. They got a lot of, I guess what I should say is camera time, because they stood out in the strike team. One of the things that the Park District Fire Department does really well is wildland fire. And so they kind of, the journalists kind of glommed onto them and the photographer. And so we got a lot of really fantastic pictures. This past Sunday was the 14-day mark. Our engine, the OES engine 348, stayed at the Dixie Fire, and then we swapped out the crew. So we've got 4 new people at the crew now, or I'm sorry, at the engine, and they will work for the next 14 days. With regard to fires locally, it has been, and I hate to say this, it has been a little bit quiet. We are still having wildland fires that are popping up here or there, but they are not as close to home as last year. However, there was just a memo that came out from the director of the U.S. Forest Service. And on the tail end of that memo was one that came out from Tom Porter regarding the fact that there are so many fires burning in the Western United States that we are again taxing resources in a slightly different way. So for instance, the OES engine was working a 24-hour shift straight, and that's constant work. And then they were being let off for 12 to sleep, and then going back for 24, being on the line working, and then getting let off for 12. That concerns me as a fire chief, as it does the other fire chiefs, because although it is a practice that's used when we have these huge campaign fires that we fight, it becomes a safety issue. There's also talk of extending that 14-day rotation to 21. And it sounds like they've made the decision not to do that because that's really too long for folks to be away from their loved ones and get the proper rest that they need. So locally, it is a little quieter than normal, but regionally, it is not quiet. We have quite a few fires happening, and most of the resources from the agencies around here are going to those fires.
So they're requiring firefighters to work for 24 hours?
Yes, ma'am.
And then off 12?
Yes. And in that 12-hour period of time, they are expected to go to the fire camp, get any batteries they may need, any other requisitional things they may need, if the radios need to be recloned or they're having some sort of communication issues. If hoses get burned up, they're expected to revamp their inventory so that they can have everything they need refreshed and resupplied to go back out. They also have to decontaminate. They also have to take showers, which is part of the decontamination process, do laundry if they can, eat and get some sleep so they can return for the briefing the next day to start their job all over again.
Well, I mean, this is just my opinion, but I don't think anybody should be required to work 24 hours. I think working like a 12-hour shift, actively is something that's quite a stretch, but I think 24 hours is inhuman. I can't believe we're asking men and women to do that. Am I alone in that?
No, but when you have a limited supply of firefighters, and that's not the norm, but that is what is sometimes asked of firefighters on the line.
Bad.
Any other questions, comments? I have, go ahead, Director Waston.
Well, I just want to thanks Eileen and Kari. Thank you so much for a great presentation. And I know you guys are stressed out and you got tons of work, but what a great opportunity. I really admire your work and admire the great opportunity you guys have because as you've said, with government affairs behind you, I think you'll get the funding. You've got the proper we're located in the right spot for this kind of work and fuels reduction, and you guys are on the forefront. So I think you'll be rewarded for this greatly, and I truly appreciate all your work. I do have one question. It's just a strategy one. My neighbors are getting all antsy again, as always. And the question that came to me in the last week was, how many days, and I don't know if you know this right off the top, it's not a trick question, but how many days were we closed last year because of fire? Did we close parks down? Is that a number that's available?
It's a ballpark that I could give you, and we might be able to pull that. I'm sure we can get you that answer, Director Waspy. Okay. But it was something like 6 or 7 days, and we have not done that this year. If you've noticed, we've had not as many red flag days, but it doesn't mean that and I haven't shut down work with regards to MAST or ASD as often as last year, but we haven't had the same kind of weather. We've still had dangerous fire conditions, but in a different kind of way that can be mitigated a little better. So this year is a different year, but it's just August 10th. And remember what happened last year, August 20th.
That's right. Thank you.
Director Wieskamp, did you have your hand up? You're on mute. You're muted.
Tree mortality, how is that affecting your strategy? Because we have areas where there's so much of it going on. And how is that affecting your strategies?
Well, it's causing us to triage everything. Like I said, we have a bunch of things that are all equally important that need to be dealt with. So we go for safety first, obviously, which is why we chose the defensible space on our district facilities and our residences, because we're protecting our own really there. And then with regard to the tree mortality, which is kind of intermixed throughout this whole thing, right? I mean, we have tree mortality issues within our wildfire hazard reduction resource management plan. We have tree mortality around our district residences and facilities. So They're kind of all interconnected, but our priorities and the reason I put them on this presentation this way was first, the defensible space, then second, the tree mortality issue, which is so much bigger than us. It's kind of a big ball to get rolling, but thanks to the help of, even Director Rosario and Sabrina Landreth were out there helping us kind of beat the drum on this issue. And so that's really the kind of long-term public safety issue and why I think the district has been the leader. We recognize that immediately, and we are the first ones in the area not to have one but two projects that we have initiated, and one's complete and one will be complete. And the stewardship department has been instrumental in helping us. Unfortunately, the tree mortality is not stopping at the edge of a recommended treatment area. It's going beyond that. And so because it's going beyond that, we're having to file a notice of extension. And stewardship has really been lockstep with us in that, trying to get those areas, trying to get us able to go into those areas and do the work. And then operations has been helping out. They're actually coming in, and where there's kind of outliers that are an area that they can handle, maybe one or two trees that are dead, operations is helping out with their staff by taking on some of these smaller contracts and getting some of the work done. So it's really it's not just a fire department effort, it's a district effort.
You have a lot on your plate, and I really admire all you're doing.
Well, it's all we're doing, but thank you.
You means everybody involved.
The royal you.
Yeah, the bigger you.
I have a question regarding district-wide. What's happening to well, is there a significant die-off in parks outside of the WUI? I mean, as far as we have our established WUI area, but are there other parks outside of that that are experiencing that, and how are we handling that?
Right now we're monitoring. We, if they're outside of the WUI, there's a little bit less of an anxiety about that. For instance, we're starting to see some pine die off at Del Val. So it doesn't really matter whether it's a bug or a fungus or anything. It's just die off. And maybe some of those trees are timing out. Pine trees don't live as long as eucalyptus or some of the other trees, but a dead standing tree is still an issue. A dead standing tree or a couple dead standing trees in the parks, we'll be working with operations to try to get some of that stuff done. But right now, Director Rosario, we're really in the role. If it's not in the WUI, we're monitoring it.
Okay.
But I foresee a time, frankly, when I think we'll be coming to this board and extending fuels reduction work beyond the plan, and what that looks like, how it gets done. I don't know, but I think that will be something that's coming.
Yeah. Pretty obvious. Yeah. Regarding the die-off, I just noticed I was on the Dunn Trail just outside of the Serpentine Prairie, and there's a grove of acacias there that were doing fine, but then last week today or yesterday they look like they're starting to die off. So that's a pretty good swath too. So yeah, great job. Keep your people safe, and you can only do what we can do. And I just want to thank all the board members in lobbying our elected legislators for these grants. So well done to everyone. And we simply keep our fingers crossed for the season.
President Rosario, we have two speakers on this item, Kelly Abreu.
Okay, great.
And Kelly Abreu, you have 3 minutes or 2 minutes? And
yeah,
and 3, and then Amy Colter. Kelly?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. By the way, when you get these state grants from or funding from state agencies, they gave $20 million to build a parking structure in East Dublin, Pleasanton. And if you look at satellite, that was 3 years ago. And if you look at satellite pictures, it's completely blank. The ground they broke ground too 3 years ago. It's completely blank ground. I don't know what's going on out there, but that's, the kind of lack of accountability that we have with sometimes in some places. I'm sure that won't happen with you know, the fire department here. When looking for my notes here, and I think I found my notes. Okay, so when we talk about 24-hour shifts, you know, when you go to a doctor, you know, the doctors all went to medical school, and guess how they're trained? 24-hour shifts. And you know, I don't know what it does to people, but there's a whole profession of people called medical doctors that are subject to this kind of treatment, and I'm sure it produces a lot of strange results that the director was pointing out, that this is not something we want to be doing to people, but we do. The helicopter, you know, the director brought up a great point. You know, if there's some money out there where if you upgrade your helicopter or whatever, and then you can somehow get some return on the helicopter by leasing it out or renting it out to the state of California, but your current helicopter isn't good enough, then maybe there's a payback, and maybe you need to be talking to your accountants to figure out what is the ROI, get an analysis, do some accounting, and figure out exactly whether the money is there or not to justify that project. And let's talk about the forest die-off. Some people call it the Western forest die-off. Some people call it tree mortality. But contrary to what we just heard, you know, this is biology. And in biology, it's not like what physics or math. It's not like the stuff that I know. It's there are different opinions. And I was just reading that there's some people who think that this is caused by insects, and the insects are caused by climate change. And some people call that a mega drought. But I would point you to the word aridification. Aridification is a permanent change in the climate. Now, this fire service that we're hearing about today is a great thing, but it's a brotherhood and a sisterhood of many different agencies. It's a whole network of state and local agencies. It's not just this one, because obviously we can rely on these people. They look like they're doing a great job out there, you know, in Dixie or wherever they're working. But for example, ultimately, we need to be able to trust these fire marshals and fire inspectors when they go out there and they sign a fire inspection. It should never be open to question. No one should ever point the finger of doubt at a fire marshal and ask about a fraudulent fire inspection. If that ever were to happen, it would be a disgrace to your entire profession. And I'm telling you, it's happening right now. And you know, as far as structure of the organization,
your time is, Kelly, Kelly, if you could just wrap it up, please. Your time is up.
County has a 16-member fire advisory commission. That tells you how complicated this stuff is. 16 people, all experts in this stuff. Maybe we need more people and a whole nother commission to talk about all these fire things, because it's very complicated. Thanks.
Thank you, Kelly. Our next and final speaker is Amy. You have 3 minutes, Amy.
Thank you for your time and allowing me to speak on this. Thank you, Chief Tiley, and all of your staff, you know, putting their lives on the line for this important work. I'm glad to hear you're getting additional funding for your efforts, but I want to relate to the word triage for a moment, because that's what's going on in MAST and in MAST contracts. The emergency hazardous tree contracts are coming in. This is very related to the tree die down. And so right now I have 200 contracts in various states of pending approval and in process. There's more pending the work order contract number issuing, and there's just a lot more to be done here. So I just wanted to connect that dot for you, because we in MAST, this desk is in triage. We are not alone. You are not alone, Chief Tiley, okay? So we need your support to spend the money wisely, okay? And one other thing, I'm studying soil microbiology. We have the solutions. We increase the soil microbiology, we increase the water retention, we decrease the aridation of the whole environment. That is my passion. That is why I hope to contribute to this agency as I go forward, continuing my education and seeing compost in the parks. This is where we're going to also make a difference to contribute to reducing the fire challenges that we're facing. I'm truly passionate passionate. Thank you for this time. If you want to know more about contracts, please feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to show you the reality of what your hardworking staff is doing to service the customers, service the parks, service your goals and your commitments. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. That was the last speaker, President Rosario.
Okay. Thank you very much. And then that brings us to great presentation, Eileen. And we are now item number 4, board committee reports. And any questions on the executive committees from 7:13 or 6:08?
Is that you knocking? We're like in the middle of
Kari's still live. Okay. Any announcements from closed session?
President Rosario, there are no announcements.
Thank you very much. And we are at our favorite section. Board comments. I will start with Director Wieskamp, then Director Waspy, then Director Coffin. Oh, yeah. Oh, Director Wieskamp, you are muted.
I'm sorry, I've been coughing and I try to remember to go back. 23rd was the field trip. The first field trip in what, a year and a half? It was incredible to be out there with everyone and to see the new trail, to meet all those staff people who've been working so hard and are so happy to have people using that area. I can't tell you how important I think it is for the board to get out there and see the results. It makes you feel so good about decisions you made a long time before that. The Sutter Memorial was so well done. I'd like to thank staff, all who's contributed, who worked so hard. The family was so happy. And I can't think of anyone who needed and deserved such a special occasion as Judge Sutter. He was a wonderful person throughout his life, and I was pleased to be able to be there. On August, there you have, let's see, July 27th, we had operations meeting. August 2nd was the special closed session board meeting. I had a chance to talk to Wayne Gilfillan at Pleasant and Ridge a few times during the very tragic search for the hiker. Staff was working so hard. Everybody was so impressed with all of the people, volunteers who kept coming from Pleasanton, everywhere. It was the findings sad. Onto the tree issue. Today I talked to him, and 2 giant oak trees had just fallen across trails. And he said that's something that they will go out for separate contracts. So I think even very old established trees, it's happening too. And just really tough all around. That's it.
Great, thank you. Director Waspy.
Thank you. On July 23rd, I also went on the board field trip. It was excellent and great to be out and see everybody in person. And we saw a lot of great places, a lot of great improvements to our lands, but I was totally impressed by Encinal Beach. I couldn't believe it. It was about a year and a half. I think it was one of the last field trips we were at. We went out and looked at what was, and now we saw what is, and it was pretty amazing. It was a very vibrant, beautiful, well planned out beach, lots of great restoration and lots and lots of kids enjoying day camps and just getting out there and having lots and lots of fun. It was a tremendous improvement and a great job by our staff. On the 24th, I attended the Sutter Memorial, a beautiful event for a beautiful man. And I think our staff and his family did a wonderful, wonderful job of remembering John. On the 26th, I attended a meeting with the Castro Valley Fire Prevention Group. along with Chief Tiley and GM Landreth. We talked about some issues along the 10 Hills Trail with the community that's still very interested and really wanting to help us out and do some good things with fire prevention. And I think we showed that group that we feel the same way, and we are doing everything in our power to keep them safe and happy. On the 30th, I attended a meeting in Anthony Chabot with the government affairs, and our newest member, Flora, led a group along with General Manager Landreth and Assemblyman Alex Lee. It was a great presentation. Chief Tiley brought us to special areas that really showed what we're dealing with a incredibly thick and overgrown forest and lots of tree dieback. He understood, he only has a very small portion of our park system in his district. But he did mention that our delegation up here was incredibly concerned about it and very, what was the words he used? He just said they get it. And then they get climate change, they get the way things are happening rapidly and how we need to work on that. And he would support that delegation and he would help also. So I think it was a very productive meeting. On the 2nd, I attended the board closed session. On the 3rd, I attended the ecology committee meeting where we talked about tree mortality and especially the health of some of our lakes that are not healthy and things we're trying to do to get them healthy again so we can get kids swimming in lakes again. On the 5th, I attended the 45th anniversary of the Lafayette Moraga Trail. Excellent event, really nice event, beautiful day, lots of people out there, and some of the real old timers. It was a great idea to honor them, the people that really organized this, and they were very happy to be recognized. And I always come away from these things amazed at how Jerry Kent was always at the bottom of something. Jerry was responsible for everything that ever happened in this park district, it seems like. And I'm very happy that he's being honored and recognized because he deserves it. And that's it for me.
Great, thank you. Director Coffey.
Thank you. On July 22nd, I attended the Point Mulati Working Group meeting. Also had a meeting with Supervisor Glover's office concerning certain rodeo issues the Park District is involved in. And that evening, I attended a wonderful Kahoot trivia game sponsored by the naturalists at Black Diamond Mines. The theme of the game that evening being Port Chicago history. I'm sorry to say I only came in second. On the 23rd, I also attended the field trip. Very appreciative of the effort that staff puts into making that possible. And also attended on the 24th, the Sutter Memorial, and it was all that my colleagues have said. On the 26th, I was the board representative that evening at the PAC meeting. On the 26th, along with Director Eccles, I attended the GM's meeting with Supervisor Joya on Bay Restoration Authority projects. On the 27th, I had a wonderful one-on-one with our general manager, taking her on a hike of Empire Mine Road in Antioch, alongside all these wonderful parklands and open space out there. On the 29th, I attended another Black Diamond Mine naturalist program on the Chukchan people, with much of the program involving at least 3 Bay Miwok representatives who spoke about their history and culture. On the 30th, I got to watch on YouTube the Finance Committee. It was a very good meeting. On the 2nd, met with staff to get caught up on Pittsburgh issues, and then attended the special closed session that evening. On the 3rd, I had the pleasure, along with Mila and my son, of attending the EBRPD night at the A's game. It was a wonderful opportunity to hang out with some really wonderful people. And then there was the game, which wasn't so wonderful. On the 5th, with Director Waspy and President Rosario, I attended the 45th anniversary celebration of the Lafayette Moraga Trail and got to learn all of that history as Dennis just related. On the 6th, another meeting along with Director Eccles of the Point Melati Working Group. And yesterday on the 9th, I attended President Rosario's board meeting preparation session with the general manager. During this period, I was, I think we went on a spree and visited almost every park in Ward 7 over and during the weekends, really enjoyed them. That's it for me.
Great, thank you. Director Lane. Oh, wait, I'm going to go to Director Eccles because I know she had to leave quickly.
Thank you. Thanks, Director Rosario. Yeah, I've got to go pick up my daughter, so I was hoping a quick go. So, okay, I'll be fast. So on the 22nd, I attended along with Colin, as you heard, and a number of others, the Point Melati Working Group. On the 23rd, like other board members, thoroughly enjoyed the board site tour. It was wonderful to see everybody in person and really just get out together in our parks. It's just really great day. So thank you everyone who was involved in that. And on the 26th, along with Director Coffey, attended meeting that Supervisor Joya hosted along with Berkeley City Council member Sophie Hahn on Bay Restoration Program, and our GM and a few other folks from the district were there as well. On the 27th, attend the board operations committee. On the 28th, I met with Berkeley City Council member Rashi Kisarwani regarding the fire that had taken place down by the Berkeley Meadow, and actually also separately met with Councilmember Terry Taplin on August 3rd about the same issue, and just really, again, in addition to this wonderful presentation that we had from Chief Tiley and Assistant Chief Haley today, I really so appreciate all your work and how proactive you are. So thanks again for that. Let's see. Of course, on August 2nd, a special closed session meeting. On the 3rd, also another, a briefing by our general manager and staff regarding Point Melati, and that wraps it up for me. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I'm glad I remembered. Director Lane.
Okay, thank you. I guess we have a little extra time because there's quite a few things that happened since our last board meeting. I did really enjoy the field trip to see people, and the staff had everything looking really sparkling. Very interesting to see that enormous bridge that's going to be there forever for that big trail. So, and then Encinal Beach, I think I missed the field trip last year when it was the before. But I have to say the after was truly impressive, and I loved seeing all those children doing all these different things. It's really a very handsome area, and I understand we need to probably talk about whether it should be called Encinal or Breakwater. Remember, we had that discussion a couple of years ago. Anyway, I'll let others address that. Then I went to Finance Committee, the board executive session. I did listen to the Black Diamond TubeCon program as well, which I thought was really very interesting. And I think they're doing some interesting virtual programs out of Black Diamond. Then, of course, going to Sutter Memorial was, I thought it was a perfect memorial. All three daughters were able to speak, and we had a chance to see some of the awards that John had won, and see a lot of people we hadn't seen in a really long time, particularly past employees who came. And the food was fabulous. So it was really staff outdid themselves in that memorial. And it's wonderful to remember John in that way. I love the slideshow too. So it was very cool. Then I got away for 3 days and went up to Gold Country when it wasn't really too hot, I'm happy to say. So that was a nice chance to escape. I don't get away on those very much. I hiked in Las Trampas, and I want to thank Government Affairs especially for organizing us and with the success of that $13.5 million coming back to us. I thought that was a really good example of something that's fairly staff intensive, which then had a really positive result for all of us. And just a word about working for 24 hours. I've never thought that making doctors work for 24 hours got better care. And I mean, in their training, and then they don't do that much afterwards. That's 24 hours, I don't believe. But it is really dangerous to fight these large fires. And I can't believe how tired those firefighters have to get after a few hours, let alone 24. And so I'm not going to forget that that's something that's required of them. And I think it's something that people should speak up about, because I definitely feel they should not be required to do that on these fires. So thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. And then Director Corbett had to leave, so my turn. On the 22nd, I attended the Oakland Commissions for the Aging Livable Oakland Stakeholders meeting. I guess I'm a stakeholder now. And we're going to be,
You think?
Yeah, I think so. We're going to be looking at how to service our seniors in the Oakland area better. And so that's going to be, it actually ties in with my other hat as a co-convener for California Alliance for Retired Americans. So I'm really looking forward to participating in that. Then on the 23rd, the board tour, which is fabulous. It was nice to get out and see these shorelines and see these completed projects. It's pretty phenomenal what we've been able to accomplish in the last couple of years. And then as the other directors have said, Judge John Sutter's memorial was just, I thought was so well done and appropriate. And it was really nice to chat with the family and see old friends too. And well done all the way around. And then on the 26th, we were the Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders are forming an employee collective inspired by the Black Employees Collective. And we had a meeting, and we're going to start setting up regular meetings and have presentations. So that was really fun. And then on the 27th, I attended the Capital Series talks, which is they highlight an assembly member, and it was Buffy Wicks this time around. And you kind of get an in-depth story of where she came from, who she is, and what she's working on, and what her priorities are. So that was really, I thought it was really well done, and an opportunity to see how they're working. And then on the 28th, I met with the Alameda County Asian Americans Pacific Islander group of local electeds, and we're forming up a little group, and I want to thank staff for setting up our future meeting in March of 2022 at the Trudeau Center. And then on the 29th, I attended the Lake Merritt Breakfast Club, and got to hear one of our neighbors up there from Redwood Park talk about disaster preparedness and what they're doing out there in the neighborhood. from Doug Mosher. I think I'm going to be part of that as well. I got to fill John's shoes there as well. But it's a great organization. And then on the 29th, I attended the Regional Parks Foundation meeting. And then on the 31st, I attended the East Oakland Collective's event at the Martin Luther King Shoreline. And their event was the Elder Voices. And Sika, who's head of that collective, she's kind of the chair. She brought her family to talk about what that park, Martin Luther King, meant to them and their family throughout history, for their family history, which was quite extensive. They've been here since pre-World War II, so it was fascinating. And then we had attended a closed session on 8.2. And that was a slog, but we got through. We made a decision. And then on 8.4, had a great time with our general manager, Sabrina Landreth. We walked around the lake at Lake Temescal and got to introduce her to the former offices were finance department there at the beach house. I think she wants to move her office there.
Who doesn't? Yeah.
So very pleasant to have spent some time with you live. So and then last but not least, the Lafayette Moraga 45th anniversary. So wonderful to be to meet the founders, and of course, like Dennis said, Jerry is involved with everything, man. And I happened to be part of that as well. 1976, when that trail opened, I was a park ranger at Redwood, and we took care of that trail. So I think that's it for me. Director Wieskamp.
I forgot because it was the last minute, but I subbed for finance.
I
had talked to them in the morning and no problem. And then suddenly, could you come? And I said, sure. I always enjoy going to finance. I figure you learn something every time you go. I want to say about John's memorial. I had never met Henry Gardner, but I was so impressed with his speech and the fact of what he learned from John about being meticulous. If you've got something on page 4, something that's on the same subject on page 12, had better align or you're in trouble. And his admiration and saying, I learned from that. And I told my staff every time, check and double check. It was, I felt like I learned something about John from Henry that day. And so I really appreciated his speech.
Yes, it was very impressive, very impressive. And then before we go, I would like to say to all of our employees, I just wanted to thank them again for coming and sharing their stories. Even though even outside of negotiations, I think we'll get through this, but don't be strangers. We all have our doors open if you want to meet anytime, and even now. So I just wanted to reiterate that we do appreciate hearing their stories, and we hear their concerns. And also, I just wanted to end with an acknowledgement with condolences for the Philip Kraychek family. It's so hard. It's just an accent point on our lives as human beings. They can be taken away in such short notice, and to look around and be thankful for who you are and who's around you, and share and like one another and be kind. So thank you all very much for a very, very long meeting, and for all your patience, and thank you all for the great work. Thank you. We are adjourned.